Hello, guys, and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin. I'm joined as ever by Mr. Matthew of the Turner. Matt Turner, good sir. How are you today?
Rob going, I'm phenomenal as always, buddy. Here in the States, we are a week away from Thanksgiving, which I'm super excited for. The Christmas season is in full swing. I can tell by several reasons. The Christmas songs are in out of my car. The packages will not stop lining up in my house. Megan Bayne is already doing all these trips to Japan and the States. She might have to come to Northeastern Pennsylvania just to launch me over the packages so I can get to the upstairs. Not only that, Rob, but I bought myself some holiday beer. I bought myself some holiday beer brewed with nutmeg, honey, and cherries, and it's like a 9 proof beer, so only one of them gets you where you need to go. And right before I went to go put my beer in the fridge, eggnog. My wonderful wife bought me some eggnog. So the Christmas season is in full swing, buddy. Not only that, but again, Thanksgiving is next Thursday. The night before, myself and my father, we're going to go see Zach Sabbath, which is Zach Wild's tribute to Black Sabbath. Zach Wild, for those of you who don't know, is the guy who has played with Ozzy Osbourne, the late great Ozzy Osbourne, the longest. And if there's anybody that knows those tunes better than Ozzy and Tony Iommi, it'd be one Zach Wild. So that's a really great way to start off my holiday weekend, is hanging with my dad at a venue only 20 minutes from my house. Really nice, intimate setting venue. Watching Zach Wild play Black Sabbath's greatest hits, and then starting my holiday weekend off, brother. And obviously watching a ton of wrestling, because that's what it's all about, my man. A ton of wrestling. But brother, enough about me. How's everything with you? And did you do some football training this past week? Because I know you're kind of back on the you're back on the swing of things over there, buddy.
Didn't play yesterday just because there's a little bit of tightness in my knee at the moment. So I was like, right, I'm not gonna rush it. I'm not gonna risk it. We've got a little bit of ice around as well. So I was like, knowing my luck, I will slip and I will fall, and that'll be me out of Japan. So I'm gonna take it nice and easy. I'm gonna just message the manager and say I'm probably not going to play today. Should be back next week. So we'll see how that goes. In terms of my day today, I have had a great day, a better day, a significantly better day than Kirsty had
Oh no.
anyway. Oh, we regale you with a story, good sir. So Kirsty's had an interview, sir, job interview. We don't know how it's gone yet, but believe it or not, that's not the crux of the story. So anyway, we both got up this morning. Kirsty has this interview, got it with loads of time. I've left to go to work. And I know we're interviews at 9:30. I got a message 9:15. Couldn't find the garage keys. So her car is always in the garage, and it's always locked, and we've got a key for it. Cannot find the key anywhere. Don't know where it is. So it turns out she'd had an absolute meltdown, couldn't find this key to get her car. In the end, her quick thinking kicked in, and we have a back door to the garage. So she was able to get through the back door to the garage and unlock the garage from the inside. So thankfully, crisis averted. She's managed to get to the job interview on time. Everything was fine. Anyway, she messages me about 12 o'clock, tearing the house apart, trying to find this garage key. Now, at this point, I'm like, don't know where it is, don't know where the garage key is. I was in the queue for my lunch and put my hand into my coat pocket. Emerged with the garage door key.
It's happened to pop up.
Yeah. And so Kirsty had literally just messaged me again. I don't suppose you've got the key, have you? So I went, yeah, actually, I have. Now, what has happened is not what a normal person does, Matt Turner. What I did was I walked past the table by our front door where keys live, and I saw the garage door key. Someone who is not me would look at that key, do nothing with it, go
You don't
out of
need
the
it.
front door.
You don't
I
need it.
don't. I've never needed it. My car has never gone in the garage in the 10 years I've lived with Kirsty. Okay, it's never gone in a garage ever. In fact, this is the only house we've had a garage, and Kirsty's has always lived in there. My car's too big. So that's what people would do. Walk past the key, out of the front door, lock the front door, go to work. No, not Rob. No, he picks up the garage key, thinks this is important for some reason, puts it in his coat pocket, and drives off with it. Now, thankfully, Kirsty is accepting of these, let's call them quirks. My track record with keys is spotty. It's shoddy to say the least. It is megaton losing streak.
Oh my goodness.
It's like, yeah, it's awful. I've already lost a set of front door keys to this house. My door key at university, so it was a touch key. It's a card key, so you just touched it to the sensor and it let you in. Brand new buildings, brand new halls. I was the first one in there. I lost that key over 40 times throughout the year because my roommates kept a tally chart of how many times I lost that key. One particular time, I was talking to someone in another flat. I'd got my hand on the door frame and I was just tapping my card on the top of the door frame whilst I was talking to my friend. Suddenly, I had no card anymore because somehow I dropped it down the back of the door frame. Now, I can only presume I was drunk at this point because I decided that the only way to get that out was to try and hoover it out. Now, let
The
me tell you,
vacuum?
with a vacuum.
Oh man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm in. You got me in, but I don't even care about us talking about Stardom now. We will, folks. I promise. Don't hit the off button. But I'm all in. You got my attention here. Go ahead, sir.
So the security get into our sort of communal area that splits off the two flats in our university building and comes across me. Now, I have taken out one of the ceiling tiles so that I can get my head up so that I can hoover out my card key from behind a door frame. Now, Matt, I don't need to tell you that not only did it not work, it wasn't even close to working, and I got a severe telling off at the hands of the security people. Now, having lost the card key, the security people have to come and let you into your bedroom so that you can go and retrieve your card key. After the 40 times, I was blacklisted and basically told if you lock yourself out, tough, we're not letting you in anymore. So yes, to say that my record with keys is poor is an understatement. Thankfully, me and Kirsty are still on speaking terms. She has seen the funny side of it. Don't know if she would have done had she missed the interview today, though.
Well, it's you always got to say, buddy, you have to think about what was going right instead of what went wrong. So she made it to the interview. That's the good thing. Now, when we're done with this podcast, you got to pump her up. Like, you're absolutely going to get it. No problem. And then if she doesn't get it, like, you don't want that job anyway. I always got to put the positive spin. So I'm imagining this with you in the ceiling tiles, very much like something out of like Ocean's 11 or Ocean's 12. Like you, and then George Clooney pops in.
Very similar, yes.
Brad Pitt is in the corner eating something because he's always eating something in those ocean movies.
Always. Now, again, this genuinely sounds like I'm making it up. I promise you, every word I've just said is true. And if Kirsty does ever listen to this podcast or watches this podcast, she will be able to verify that this did indeed happen. Why on earth I thought that was the only way to get the card key out, more than, saying that I wasn't going to be prying off the surround to the door. I didn't own the building or the room. So, that would have cost me a severe amount of money. But, didn't get my card key back, just to put a bow on that story.
There's the end of that story, folks. So, but yeah, I can tell, Rob, that you're obviously an honest person. Not only that, but you're very creative. You're not that creative to come up with that story. Like, I'm just going to come up with I'm going to write a movie where it stars me, and I'm going to start off. I'm going to be drunk. I'm going to lose my card key. So it's just like, no, you're creative, but not that creative. But that's great. Really
the tally chart was the real icing on the cake that sat in our kitchen for the entirety of our first year of college. Was a real wake up call when we had everybody else on the list and they'd locked themselves out maybe twice in the first week, something like that. Because it always happens. You forget your car key. No, Rob, right at the top, and they had to give me another row because I'd locked myself out that many times. So.
I'm really glad that you told me this because as soon as this is done, I'm going to tell Amber because obviously Kirsty's not coming with us to Japan, so we need to make sure that we babysit your card key.
If you wouldn't mind.
Yes, we don't. We got you. That's what tag teams do, buddy. That's what tag teams do. So absolutely, buddy. But other than that, my friend, obviously, and I always say that's the worst thing to happen for you and Kirsty on this day. It's actually a really good day. It's actually a really good day. So you just have to count your blessings. We all have bumps and potholes in the road and stealing other people's keys. But with the exception of that, buddy, how's everything else a-okay though?
Yes, can't complain at all. Can't complain at all. We have got 3 great shows to talk about from Stardom. We're going to be talking about the show from Hachinohe City, which was on 13th, and then we're going to talk about the double shot. A really strange double shot from Sapporo. Like, they didn't feel like Stardom shows at
No.
all. Very, very weird. We're going to be talking about those two. We're going to talk about the standings as we head into this final run of block shows for the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. We have our first official eliminated team. Technically, there's 2 teams, but Suzu Suzuki and Rini Yamashita are just about alive in the tournament. But in terms of Red Stars or Red Goddess, we do have our first eliminated team. We've got lots of bits of news to talk to you about as well. BushiRoad have announced their financials and some really interesting things to be taken from that in comparisons to New Japan. All Dream Queendom looks like it is going to be doing a huge number. We have got Stardom wrestlers out and about. But before we talk about any of that, Mr. Turner, let's talk about what's coming up on the Patreon this month. Or this week. I keep saying this month. I mean this week.
Technically, you're right, because November. So
It
technically,
is this month.
See, don't worry. See, I got the key to your success. Oh my goodness. Terrible. We have to bring back groovy back to it.
Absolutely.
Bringing Bruce Campbell, groovy. Anywho, the Stardom Cast Patreon this past week, alternate commentary. I went back to the 2021 Goddess of Stardom Tag League, Dream H, Mina Shirakawa, and Tam Nakano taking on Momo Oz, Momo Watanabe, and Azumi. That was a really, really great tag match. Did the alternate commentary on, and then dropping this weekend on your Patreon feed, Tag Team Breakdown. Myself and Andy Header, we break down an absolutely instant classic match between Tekla and Momo Watanabe, known as Hate Supreme, defending the Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Championships against Wingori, the opening match on the main card from Dream Queendom last year. I kind of figured myself, Andy, and Tekla were actually talking about this match at the big event in New York, which Andy and I reviewed on Talk Joshi, and me and you talked about on the Marigold Standard earlier this week. So I was like, that was kind of fresh in my mind. I said, I'm going to go back and watch it. So not only do me and Andy, Rob, we break down that match, we break down the amazing Stardom Tron when Wingori come out, where it's a lion and a gorilla. Yeah, I was just like, we break down how cool that is. You get everything with Tag Team Breakdown, myself and Andy Hatter. Now, as far as alternate commentary goes, for next week, it is the holiday season, and I'm a giving man. The first person to message me, whether it's on the Patreon feed or whether it's on my email or social media, for whatever alternate commentary match they want me to do, I will do it. Literally to the point where if it's a match that I've already done in the past, you want me to redo it, I will do it. So anybody that wants to send me a message, again, you want to shoot me an email, you want to send me a message on social media, you want to comment on the Patreon section for an alternate for this episode, whoever the first person is to send me a message, whatever Stardom match you want me to do, I will do the alternate commentary on for Monday. So again, Rob, a lot of great stuff on there. We released last week the Soriano, her complete run as the Wonder of Stardom champion. And again, obviously myself and Andy Hatter, we've done some great roundtable discussions where we've done our top 5 favorite finisher, our top 10 favorite finishers, our top 5 favorite themes. A lot of really great stuff on the Patreon, past, present, and future. And again, you can subscribe for literally pennies on the day, or nickels on the day, because pennies are going away in the next 6 weeks over here in the United States. So you can save those pennies and give us the nickels.
So is there no lower denomination now than nickels?
No, that's it. And the pennies have been around, I think, since the 1700s. So
Wow.
so they are literally to the point where we're going to have a discussion at work with the products that we sell. How's it going to happen if the product comes out to like 1238? Do they round down to 1235 or they round up to 1240? So that's going to be a discussion that we're going to have at work. I was actually out and about with my boss yesterday, and he's like, never thought that we're going to have a corporate meeting about what are we doing about no pennies, about how we have to price our products starting in January.
So presumably every single price is going to have to either end in a 5 or a 0.
Yeah, it's probably more than likely going to round up. So I mean, obviously pennies are still going to be in circulation, so they're not going to be gone away for, they're still going to be around. It's just going to be, fewer and far between, probably over the next like 3 or 4 years. But yeah, the penny will cease to exist while we're in Japan, buddy. So how about that American currency going away? why we're watching some people hit some lariats.
There you go. There you go. Bet you never thought you'd have financial talk here on the Stardom Cast, but there you go. Just rounding this off, patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. For lots and lots of bonus content for, as Matt mentioned, as little as $1 solitary a month. Right, let's kick into some news then before we get into 3 bizarre shows. First of all, Dream Queendom 2025. Not long now till what will potentially be Stardom's biggest show of the year, 29th of December in Ryogoku. And Stardom have announced today on their official Twitter that it is the recorded highest number of sales in series history, meaning that for Ryogoku, they have recorded the highest number of ticket sales. Now, this does mean that it looks like Stardom are going to outdraw their Dream Queendom number from last year, which was 4,023 people, which, if you remember from 2024, was an absolutely fantastic number. I would be very, very surprised if you aren't looking at 5,000 plus now for this show. More seats are being released tomorrow, actually, November the 21st, as we record at 10 a.m. Japanese Standard Time. There's quite a few different seat categories that they are opening. Matt, obviously, this is a huge get for Stardom. And when you consider, if the worst comes to the worst, okay, and you look at the fact that you could potentially have no Starlight Kid, no Momo Watanabe, no Hanan, and you are still doing gangbuster numbers in terms of this Dream Queendom, Stardom have got to be very, very happy with the way this show is shaping up.
Yeah, I saw that message they sent out earlier this morning that they're releasing more tickets, and I've checked the tickets from time to time just to kind of see what they're doing, and I saw that 19 of the 21 sections are either completely sold out or only a few sections left. So I was like, okay, either they're opening up more sections, or the sections that are sold out, they're opening up more parts of that section. Again, I don't know how anything's scaled, but I remember when the tickets did go on sale for a pre-sale a couple months ago, they showed the how the map seating was going to be. It looked like they were going to open it up more, very much like I know New Japan for like the G1 finals years ago, that they pretty much open up everything and they have a small entrance way. And I think like you can cap out, I could be wrong, but like 7,500. I could have sworn like New Japan's done over 7,000 tickets to this venue. Now, obviously, I want Stardom to sell as many tickets as possible. At the same time, I still kind of want them to have a cool stage setup, like we've seen at Dream Queendoms in the past, especially this past year's or last year's, excuse me. I thought the stage setup was amazing. But then I did a little deeper dive because, again, 19 of the 21 sections are already either, again, complete sellout or just a few left. So I was like, well, I know they sold out last year. And I could be wrong, but they had 13 sections available. So they did 13 sections at 4,000. We're at 19 sections right now that are sold out, and they're opening up more, and we're still 6 weeks away. And we know Ryogoku and just wrestling in general is a lot of walk-up business. Like I know Marigold, they did a really good job on that last 24 hours when they ran Sumo Hall at Grand Destiny. They had, from what I understand, they did a really good walk-up business the day of and the day before. So you've already sold out. You know, my guess is I'm just going to round up. You already did 41,000 or 41,000. Yeah, that's a Tokyo Dome. Tokyo Dome's doing 41,000. You've already done 4,100 tickets, and it's based off. And I know the announcement of Fuwa-chan has definitely moved some tickets, but a lot of this is based on Sai Kamitani versus Soriano. We had this conversation about 2 or 3 weeks ago on the Stardom cast that if Soriano gets that main event spot, will it draw tickets? It's right there. It's right there. Like I know Kamitani is the main draw, but a lot of people want to see this Soriano versus Sai Kamitani singles match because we've never seen it. And I know once the match was announced, and I failed to mention this last week, that there was a lot of our listeners that saw the that 10-person tag match at Oz Academy where it was Team Ozaki versus Team Tora. And they said that the sequence of segments between Sai Kamitani and Soriano were absolutely unbelievable. And I'm assuming that's what we're going to get in Sumo Hall. So the shock of nobody, I'm sure Sai Kamitani versus Soriano is going to be a slightly above average match, Rob. But again, Soriano's drawn tickets, Sai Kamitani's drawn tickets. You know, you have Fuwa-chan in there. Ultimately, it's the Stardom name as well. But I totally agree with everything that's being opened. My guess is I think this thing's going to do over 5,000 tickets, which again, it's great. over 5,000 tickets. My guess that's where it's going to be. The Tokyo Dome. They opened up more. I think they're opening up more seats too soon, because I know the Tokyo Dome is sold out. They're going to open that up to around 50,000 tickets. So if this does 5,000 and then the Tokyo Dome does 50,000, you're going to have Sai Kamitani in a big match, the biggest match on Dream Queendom, in front of again maybe 5,000 people, and then in a really important match with Shuri at the Tokyo Dome with about 50,000 people. It's just going to be another massive week for Stardom and another massive week for one Sai Kamitani. And I was actually just listening to the New Japan English podcast with Chris Charlton and Walker Stewart. And they only release episodes every now and again, but they did make mention that this Tokyo Dome show is going to be on nationwide TV. And they were very adamant that like not all the matches are going to make the TV cut, because they only have a certain amount of time. And you know, these Wrestle Kingdom Robs, they can be 6-7 hour shows. We've seen it in the past. They're long shows, but they were very adamant. Like, obviously you're going to get Tanahashi Okada, needs to be on that TV. Obviously Yota Tsuji versus Takeshita obviously needs to be on the TV. But the two of them were very adamant that Kamitani and Shuri needs to be seen on that nationwide broadcast. I and obviously we do a Stardom podcast, and we're like, yes, absolutely. We just because we've kind of seen how sometimes New Japan treats Stardom with these 4-minute matches at the Tokyo Dome, but I think they realize like they're a major player. And again, I think the litmus test was that Shuri versus Suri match that we had back at King of Pro Wrestling. Hey, we're gonna open up the show. We're gonna have a hot opener, and we're gonna give it time, and it went almost 16 minutes. Which again, I know we say this every week. I'm gonna say it again. If this Shuri versus Sai Kamitani match gets that 16 minutes, it's going to be one of the best matches on the show. But sorry, I got on a tangent here. Awesome, the fact that again we're 6 weeks out, one match announced. And you're right. We don't know what's going on with Starlight Kid. I'm thinking she's going to be back. We don't know what's going on. We don't know. Well, I know she's been putting out a lot of tweets where she keeps talking about the wonder. So are we going back to her and Konami? And again, me and you think it's Hanan. I think it's Starlight Kid. But we both see like, okay, I can see where it's going to be Hanan. And you're like, I can see where it's going to be Starlight Kid. But the fact that, you know, Starlight Kid technically still on the shelf. We don't know what's going on with Momo Watanabe. We don't know what's going on with Hanan. And they're still have already, from what they put out earlier today, buddy, they 6 weeks out, one match announced, have sold more tickets than they did last year, and last year's was a sold out Sumo Hall. Just absolutely incredible. This company's on absolute fire, and I think they're going to pick up a lot more steam towards the end of this year, going into next year.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And actually, last month, October, was the first month since the first month this year that they haven't outdrawn the previous year. And we're going to talk a little bit about numbers very shortly, because WrestleNomics has a breakdown of the BushiRoad financials. But in terms of November, now, again, we've done this in two different ways. So Armani Shoe Exchange, friend of the show, absolutely fantastic follow on Twitter, has said that with the two Sapporo shows, this is the most attended Stardom November in history. Now, that is absolutely true if you discount the historic crossover attendances as well. I will just say that with historic crossover 2, November 2024 was at 9,207 cumulative attendance. The attendance for 2025 in November is already 6,571. Now, when you include the fact that we have still got a number of Goddesses of Stardom Tag League dates and the final, which is a pay-per-view, you could be looking at touching 8,500. Now, to do that solely on your own name, you know, and to just come underneath a New Japan and Stardom co-promoted show, I think that's a tremendous number and speaks volumes about what Stardom are doing in terms of business. And obviously, we'll have a little bit of a chat about how that compares to New Japan as well. Just keeping with Kamitani, of course, House of Torture, Evil more specifically, ran their own produce show, the Purge Night of Torture from Korakuen Hall on the 19th of November. Sold out Korakuen Hall, by the way, 1,481 reportedly in attendance for this show. And you had a load of different members of House of Torture going against different people. You had Evil taking on Shun Skywalker, for example. But something that was added at the very last minute was Saya Kamitani taking on Yujiro Takahashi, which honestly is not a match I ever thought I'd say out loud, but it was announced. Now, I haven't seen this match. I haven't seen this show as of yet because it was a pay-per-view on New Japan World. But a couple of things I wanted to say. First of all, say what you want about House of Torture, and I know that they are a wildly divisive faction in New Japan. They sold out Korakuen Hall. Like, fair play. And Evil, the reactions Evil was getting were enormous, considering he is, in New Japan context anyway, the heeliest heel to ever heel. But also, I want to put over Yujiro. Because, I mean, I can't remember the last time I put over Yujiro. But, like, not in a horrible way by any stretch of the imagination, but, you know, he's not someone you go, who on New Japan's best workers. Like, Yujiro's not been in that conversation.
He's sick. He's shtick. And he's great at it. And he's great at it. He's great at his shtick. Very much like a Megaton, a Fukian Death, a Yano. He's great. He knows what he can do.
He knows his worth. Yeah, absolutely. And he sold his ass off for Saya Kamitani and the members of Hate. There was a moment where he goes to attack Saya, turns around and basically all of Hate, I believe it was Rina, Ruaka, Tora, and Konami, and all four of them stood in front of him. And Yujiro sold it like he'd just seen the Four Horsemen. Like, he was, oh my God, I'm dying. Sold everything, sold the beat down. He gave everything to this match. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Props to Yujiro. Huge reactions for Evil. And House of Torture selling out Korakuen Hall, which honestly, that number, 1,400, I think it was 1,491, did I say? 1,481 is better than some of the New Japan attendances at Korakuen Hall. So yeah, full credit to House of Torture.
Two things I want to bring up here on this segment, buddy. Who did Evil wrestle?
Shun Skywalker.
I'm going to take this time to put over our buddy Andy Header. So Shun Skywalker this year worked Evil and Andy Header. So good on him.
Andy Header's worked Shun Skywalker.
I don't know if it was this year or last year, but yeah, they did a whole bunch
I did not know that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
They did a whole bunch of. He wanted to do a whole bunch of Japanese spots, and he's like, I think they did a whole bunch of Stardom spots. I'm sure he's listening to this while he's at work, and he's going to send me a message. But I know he worked him. I think for Kevin Kelly's promotion. So
that's cool.
But I know he worked them. I don't know if it was this year or last year, but okay. So this was a sellout in Korakuen Hall. Correct?
Yeah.
And Saya Kamitani was on this card.
Correct.
So can we count this as another Saya Kamitani sellout like we did with the Suzu match and the Tam match and the Izumi match? Let's count it. Because we wouldn't be, let's face it, we wouldn't be talking about it on the Stardom cast, how Saya Kamitani. I love Andy Header, but we would not be talking about that Andy Header Saya Kamitani match.
I mean, this match was announced literally at the 11th hour. I think the show was the 19th, and this was announced on the 17th. I believe it was announced late. I would love to say that this match and this match alone was the reason that this show sold out, and maybe we'll go with that narrative anyway, simply because we're a Stardom podcast. I don't know how true it is, but let's go with it. I'm sure it helped. I'm sure if there were tickets left, putting Saya Kamitani on the card helped.
See, Rob, they announced it last minute. Why do you think they did? When you do something last minute, you hit the panic button. Very much like you taking the keys out of your pocket. You hit the panic button. They hit the panic button. What do we do to sell this out? Who do we bring in? We have this person. We have this person. It's like, well, BushiRoad's just like, you're looking at the wrong thing. You're looking at you're trying to bring New Japan wrestlers in. We're going to bring Saya Kamitani. That's a great idea. Do we do that Saya Kamitani versus Tanahashi retirement match? And they're like, better. Yujiro Takahashi. Boom. Graphic goes up. Cork and sells out. That's my story, brother. And I'm sticking to it.
I do not blame you in the slightest. Now, something that was not a sellout and was significantly more odd was the Pro Wrestling Wave match that saw Sayaka Kurora take on Yuki Miyazaki. Now, Yuki Miyazaki was... she did a couple of embarrassing spots with Meisera and Miyu Amasaki, if you remember a couple of weeks ago. And Taro Okada put something on Twitter that said, I'm always wanting to protect my wrestlers. Sayaka Kurora was sort of, Yuki Miyazaki had her eyes on Sayaka Kurora. This match was announced. Taro Okada basically said, I need a referee who I can trust. So Bob Sasaki was announced to be the ref during the show from Pro Wrestling Wave on the 16th of November. Sure enough, Bob was... it was decided that Bob was not trustworthy by Taro Okada, who ran in to the match to become the new referee and ended up eating the embarrassing pin from Yuka Miyazaki that she hit Mei Seira and Miyu Amasaki with a couple of weeks ago. Ultimately, Sayaka Kurora did hit the Tokamaki Spear and secured the victory in 6 minutes and 21 seconds, only after the match was originally made a no contest earlier on in the show. I know that the Yuka Miyazaki, the stuff was a little bit divisive. I personally don't particularly like it, but there we are. It is what it is. This was fine from what I saw. Again, I haven't seen it live. I just thought I'd bring it up as obviously Sayaka Kurora was on the card, Matt.
Rob, I got one question. If you probably know where I'm going to go with this. Why on this graphic is there a whole bunch of potatoes? Like,
genuinely, I
so
have no idea. I don't know if Sapporo is famous for its potatoes. I have also been wondering this. And also, I really hope that just on every single match graphic, Wave have some really random background that just confusing people. Like the next one's just dragonflies. The next one is just carpet. And then the one after that is just a radiator. That's what I want. I just want really random 4K backgrounds on their match graphics.
Why is there an 8-track of Led Zeppelin 3? I just don't get it.
One of them is just a burnt out Ford Escort.
Yeah. Again, the spots that she did with it was on the Starlight Kid anniversary show. It's just like,
that's right.
Yeah. Take it or leave it. Like I get it, but yeah, again, more Stardom talent. Going outside, doing some more things, getting more eyes on them and the product as well. So again, guess good on Sayaka Kurora, and yeah, that Taro Okada clip was all over my social media feed pretty much as it was happening. I was like, oh, Taro Okada is getting beat up by somebody that's not Tekla. I wonder how Tekla feels about that.
Absolutely. Maybe we're about to see a team of Yuka Miyazaki and Tekla. And you know what? Credit to Taro Okada. He went all in on the gimmick. So fair play to him. And obviously Yuka Miyazaki on that retirement road. She retires, I believe, on the 1st of January. She retires while we're out in Japan. So that's obviously, we're on the send-off to her, which was nice. And Taro Okada did post a picture of him and Bob Sasaki. So everything is absolutely hunky-dory between the pair of them. Another wrestler that is out and about, or has been out and about, is Saya Ida. She took part on the Unagi Sayaka Produce Show at Shinjuku Face on the 19th of November. 284 people in attendance for that card. She teamed with Kohaku and would ultimately defeat the team of Honori Hana and Eureka Oka. Matt, again, another match that needs to be put on the list for watching, but again, at the moment, not sure how to watch that. So the lovely listeners of the Stardom cast, if you can find a place to see it, that would be great if you could let us know.
Yeah, one, if you can let us know how to see this match, and two, let us know what's with the potatoes in the pro wrestling way. Educate us. Rob, I'm sure this match is great because all 4 wrestlers were great, but I'm looking at this, I'm like, was this kind of the prelude to a possible Bob Momo Banana versus Wingori match? That's maybe they're playing, maybe after the match that hey, how you doing? Was everything okay? How was my lariat? How was this? How was that? Maybe Saeed is like, hey, see if Momono wants to team up, and I'll ask Kanan to wish me happy go sunshine. Maybe we get a Bob Momo Banana versus Wingori match. But yeah, I would love to really see this one. And again, maybe we've been seeing some wild matches we never thought we would see. Maybe Rob in 2026, Bob Momo Banana versus the Young Lioness and the Gorilla. That is Saeed. Cannot wait, and I hope it's in a big Stardom show so that I cannot wait to see the LED boards, the Stardom Tron for those 2 teams.
Well, it's not the last time that we're going to be talking about Momo Bob Banana because, of course, they did have a tremendous match against Natsupoi Sakura from Sendai Girls, which we'll be talking about soon. But before we get into any more matches, I just wanted to briefly touch on the stuff released from BushiRoad. They did announce their financial results, which, as WrestleNomics has points out a little bit of a stagnation in New Japan, but does emphasize the gains of Stardom. So let's focus on Stardom initially, at least. And again, all of this is coming via WrestleNomics, WrestleNomics.com. In terms of the 3 months ending March 31st, Stardom are up on last year. They are up significantly on last year, ending June 30th. In the months between March and June, the months between June and September, they are up again. And again, December, it is looking the same. So at the moment, Stardom are doing significantly better than they were last year and indeed the year before as well. So 918, they are currently averaging between June and September, which is up from 687 in 2024 and 737 in 2023. Again, between March and June, 937 they averaged this year, 680 in 2024 and 829 in 2023. So Stardom doing very, very well. Just as a comparison, the attendances for New Japan, so they are up in from January to March, but only just very, very, very marginally up between March and June, but most noticeably are down from 2,035 to 1,879 for G1 season, which is certainly a very noticeable achievement. And actually, their financial revenue for the BushiRoad sports division by quarter, they've gone down significantly from 2024 and even more from 2023 as well, from June into September as well. All of these graphics, by the way, are available on WrestleNomics' Twitter in a thread and also on their website as well. So, yeah, it's sort of pointing, as WrestleNomics points out, to a little bit of a stagnation in New Japan. Again, I feel like that seems to be the overarching sentiment from a lot of Western New Japan fans. There is a lot of unrest and a lot of dissatisfaction with the product from New Japan. I know that Takeshita's win of the G1 and then the one title defense and then not showing up again till Wrestle Kingdom has not been well received. I know that the seeming reluctance to push new stars, the decision to dethrone El Desperado for Doki and then not have Doki defend the IWGP Junior Championship at Wrestle Kingdom, at least not yet anyway, seems to have been met with a lot of discontent. There seems to be a lot of things at the moment that are making the New Japan fan base unhappy, and that seems to be mirrored in the attendances. But it does look like when New Japan are stagnating, Stardom are gaining. Now, obviously, we're not talking about the same realms. Again, ending between June and September, New Japan is still averaging 1,800, whereas Stardom are averaging half of that. So we're not talking about the same sort of metrics. What we are talking about, though, is a fall in New Japan and a rise in Stardom. I just wanted to make that very clear that they're not really comparative numbers, at least not yet.
Yeah, Stardom's on the way up, and New Japan's, they're kind of stagnant, kind of on the way down. But New Japan is still just an absolute monster of a professional wrestling company. And just with New Japan, we've talked about this off air and on air before, partner. It's just they've been hit with just a raft of big stars leaving. Tanahashi, obviously is leaving at the end of this year. Okada signed with AEW. Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, with AEW. Gallows and Anderson a handful of years ago. AJ Styles, going to the WWE. Nakamura going to the WWE. Naito taking, wanting to leave the company, kind of do his own freelancing thing. And they just had a lot of issues trying to make new stars. I think Zack Sabre Jr. is a great, great wrestler, but not as far as star power and drawing goes in the same realm as a Kenny Omega or a Will Ospreay or Kota Ibushi. Again, more names that have left the company. Where Stardom's done a great job. Like, okay, we lost Mayu, we lost Mina, we lost Tekla, Tam retired, So we just need to make stars. And it seems like everybody on that roster has something to do. Everybody from Kikyo Furusawa all the way up to Saya Kamitani, they've made it really, really interesting. I was a big fan of Takeshita winning the G1 because I'm like, okay, this will be good because he's a big star and he's on AEW TV quite a bit in a prominent position. And obviously he has that dual contract. I think he's got a contract with DDT as well. I think he's got a contract with those three promotions. So it'd be kind of tricky to see where they can kind of get him in. But when they get him in, it's kind of a big deal. I'm really excited for that match with Yota Tsuji. You know, the one positive that we have to point out on this route, we talked about a little bit ago, is that this Wrestle Kingdom is going to be the highest drawing single night Wrestle Kingdom in the 23 or 24 shows of Wrestle Kingdom. Because a couple years ago, they did what WWE does with WrestleMania, they've done more than one night. So they're going to have a lot of new eyes on the product. And again, a lot of the eyes are there to see the return of Okada and the retirement of Tanahashi. So I think New Japan really needs to put their brain trust together. Like, look, there's going to be a lot of newer eyes on this show. Let's try to retain some of that business and let's go out and put on the best show that we possibly can. Obviously, with Shuri Rasai Kamitani, that's going to help. And I know that's on the Stardom side, but still, that's going to help. And I think Takeshita and Yota Tsuji is really the biggest championship match that they can put on. But I just think as far as, you know, we always say the numbers don't lie. You can like whatever you like. You can say, hey, TNA is my favorite wrestling company, or Deadlock Pro is my favorite wrestling company. And hey, that's fine. You can like what you like. That's what's so great about professional wrestling. It's subjective. There's no wrong answers. But your numbers are your numbers, and it's just astounding. And you kind of expect New Japan to take a hit with all those stars leaving. And then they've done a great job bringing up David Finlay and Gabe Kidd. They've done a great job building them up. But it's tough to find another absolute diamond like a Kenny Omega, like another Okada. That's really, really tricky. And they're trying. They're still putting on really, really solid shows. But then again, you look at the Stardom side, and it's just like there's so many great wrestlers, to the Saya Kamitanis, the Momo Watanabes, the Starlight Kids, the Izumis, so on and so forth. They're doing a great job shuffling up a lot of things, with Suzu Suzuki kind of turning on Neo Genesis and her forming her own faction. What's Momo Watanabe going to do? FWC, they're in and out of the company. Like, what's going on with them? There's a lot of interesting storylines in the company, and Stardom is red and white hot, pun absolutely intended. Stardom is just a really enjoyable product to watch. Again, start to finish, and their pay-per-views are really important. Their big championship matches feel like they're absolute must-see, can't miss, very much like how New Japan was 5 or 6 years ago with the Okadas and the Tanahashis, and when they bring Minoru Suzuki in and Kojima from time to time. It was like, it really, like, Stardom right now feels like New Japan did a handful of years ago. It's like, you need to stop what you're doing. You need to see this match. Like, I know at 2 or 3 in the morning, you need to get up and watch this match because this was so, so good. So Stardom is the hot hand right now. There's no doubt about that. And I think BushiRoad sees that. I think that's why we're going to be seeing more Stardom participation on these New Japan licensed shows in 2026, like we have at the Tokyo Dome with Shuri and Saya Kamitani. I just think you're going to be seeing more of the Stardom wrestlers on these New Japan shows to help sell tickets and bring more eyes on the product.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, obviously this isn't a New Japan podcast and we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, but one thing I do find very interesting is that Wrestle Kingdom 20 is coming at a time that New Japan desperately need it. Now, obviously, they are going to do one of the biggest numbers they've ever done at the Tokyo Dome. And, you know, if not the biggest number they've ever done at the Tokyo Dome. However, let's call it as it is. That is because Tanahashi is retiring. Now, that, for a lot of New Japan fans, is acting as something of a band-aid. Okay, so yes, we're doing this gargantuan number in this time where we are creatively stagnant. What happens when Tana's gone? Okay, because that's where New Japan are really going to struggle. Following Wrestle Kingdom 20, what happens then with no Tanahashi? You haven't got the Tanahashi retirement to fall back on. Who are you going to rely on? Because the chances are that Takeshita is going to drop that belt to Tsuji. But where do you go from there? Who do you push from there? And that's something that New Japan have really, really struggled with. What I find quite interesting is Stardom have similar problems. Now, not problems, not in the same way as New Japan by any stretch of the imagination. But one thing that I will always come back to is, who is the the white to Saya Kamitani's black. We still haven't found that yet. And I think once Saya Kamitani drops that belt, we are going to see what Stardom can do, because someone is going to have to match her. Somebody is going to have to be able to match her drawing power. Because again, she wasn't on these Sapporo shows, and the Sapporo shows, for Stardom at least, drew relatively poorly. So, Momo Watanabe won the 5-star Grand Prix, great match, one of the best matches of the year, had a great match with Saya at Crimson Nightmare. A lot of people not happy with the fact that she won the 5-star, and ultimately, at least for now, it looks like there's no storyline there. Again, we'll wait to see what happens after Dream Queendom. Whereas Stardom has the talent to make that work, has the depth in roster to make that work, and I actually trust Taro Okada as a booker, New Japan just seemed to be completely rudderless. And there's no land in sight. You've got one oasis, which is the Tanahashi retirement, that is going to draw a lot of eyes to the product. But once that's done, I've got a horrible feeling that we are going to see a drastic shift for New Japan, unless they can right the ship and right it quickly.
Well, you look at the biggest drawing wrestling house in the history of the Tokyo Dome. It's before they did the Wrestle Kingdoms, was Inoki's retirement with Don Fry, and it's like 71,000 people, some just insane number. And it's like after that, there it was the late 90s. You didn't have anybody really to fall back in on. There wasn't any, Muda was there. We're still doing pretty well. I think Hashimoto was injured at the time. Chono was really, really beat up. You had those bad years after that, because you had like the early 2000s where
the early 2000s were rough.
And it was like they almost went under. And I think it was Yuke's, the card company, that bought it. And then all of a sudden here comes Tanahashi, and he carried that company on the back.
Them out.
That's almost where they're at now. Tanahashi's basically a Noki, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, he's still entertaining, he's still drawing, but you can tell like the wear and tear of the years are on his body. And then it's like, once he goes, who's going to be the next flag bearer? I think Yota Tsuji beating Takeshita for the belt would be huge in what they need, because he's only on contract with New Japan. He needs to be on every show, and they need to have a killer match. And they're going to, because they had a great match in last year's G1. It was my favorite match of the G1 of all the matches that I saw. So I think that's the way to go. But what do they put underneath it? You know what I mean? Like, what is it? Do we Gabe Kidd, Dave Finlay? But they need to put on a stellar show. So this way, the people that don't watch New Japan all the time are like, I need to check out more of this product, or else they're going to find out that they're going to be in the same position they were in the early 2000s after Inoki retired and before Tanahashi came in and saved the company. And I'm not too far off. Go read your Wrestling Observers, go and research it. Like, that company, New Japan, was very close to not being a company at all. They were really bad. And I know, to be fair, like, nobody was really drawing in the early 2000s. All Japan, with the exception of Noah, All Japan was pretty well beat up from the Exodus. But to kind of get back on the New Japan thing that we were talking about, partner, yeah, they need to put their heads together, and they need to make sure this is an absolutely fantastic show, because of all the new eyes that are brought on it. Because again, it's obviously drawing a massive house. There's a good chance 50,000 people are going to be in the Tokyo Dome. But what happens afterwards? You have to, even though it's your big exclamation point, it's like, what happens afterwards? You have to be planning for the future, and they need to be planning now.
Last couple of things before we move on. The first thing to point out, it goes some way to show the sort of lack of good grace that the company has with its fan base at the moment, that people are likening this to the early noughties in terms of, the momentum and the star power and things like that. The worst thing that can happen for Wrestle Kingdom and for New Japan as a company is for the two best matches to be Okada and Tanahashi and Saya and Syuri.
That could happen.
It could happen. That's the worst thing that can happen for New Japan, because A, Tanahashi's gone, Okada doesn't wrestle for you anymore. And secondly, neither does Saya and Syuri. So the two most exciting matches could potentially be matches not for your company, or for wrestlers not on your company. And again, that would really highlight the issues that New Japan would run into in 2026. Again, positivity-wise, and again, I am nothing more than the most casual of casual fans now of New Japan. I parachute in once every 2, 3, 4 months to watch, a title match. Pardon me. And it does feel like a a vastly, vastly different product from top to bottom than it was even 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Certainly 2019. I've recently rewatched a lot of G1 Climax matches from 2019. The company just couldn't put a foot wrong. It really was just a phenomenal tournament, and it does sadden me to think that we are in a place now where, and I know that obviously things are cyclical. Every company goes through bad patches, and I'm sure Stardom will have a bad patch coming up as well, because there are no constant ups. No one bats 1,000. That's the old saying, isn't it? So it's how that company rides out a bad patch that really defines it. And I think at the moment, Stardom hasn't had a really, really rough patch. So I'm excited to see. Not excited to see. That makes it sound wrong. I'm interested to see what Taro Okada does, with a back to the wall, so to speak. And when he doesn't necessarily just have Saya Kamitani at the top of the card to rely on. So that's going to be something I'm really intrigued to see.
He kind of already has, with Mayu and Mina leaving kind of back to back, and then like, oh, here's our 5-star. Sherry's not in it. Mike is not in it. Hazuki doesn't want to be in it. Sure, no problem. So it's like, and I understand you're still building everything around Saya Kamitani, but it's like he kind of has had his back to the wall. And that 5-star Grand Prix, it drew really well. And it's one of my favorite, that in 2022 and last year's 5-star Grand Prix are like my favorite 5 stars ever. So it's like, I understand it's like, hey, you're a big star, Saya Kamitani, but who helped make that current version of Saya Kamitani? Taro Okada. Again, folks, I haven't apologized it for a while. You remember when she turned heel? I'm like, this is the worst decision in the history of pro wrestling. Turned out to be one of the greatest decisions in 25 years of Joshi pro wrestling. So again, that was Okada's idea to turn Saya heel, and all these other wrestlers have either left or retired and or were injured or still injured, and he's still doing pretty well. So he's kind of had his back against the wall, and he's still done pretty well for himself. So you have to give credit. And obviously, bulk of the credit goes to the talent. The Sai Kamitanis, the Starlight Kids, the Izumis, the Momo Watanabes, the Sorianas, the Natsupoi, so on and so forth. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like I kind of always say, when you have these big championship runs, just because this is the championship run I literally grew up on, is like, you have your Hogan, which is your Saya Kamitani. Can you find your Macho Man? Can you find that one beat? I think they may have it in Starlight Kid. They may have it in Momo Watanabe, Rob. We shall see. But at the same time, it's not like Saya Kamitani's 40 years old. It's not like she wants to take a year off to film movies like Mr. Nanny, like Hogan did. So it's like she wants. That's literally why Hogan's like, I want to drop the belt. I want to do movies and No Holds Barred, which Stan Hansen was in, by the way. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see again. Why take the belt off her? A lot of people are like, well, we want change. I'm like, why? There's nothing. She's having great matches. She's drawing money. She's constantly, every time you go on social media, she's doing a talk show, or she's on the cover of, again, a weekly pro wrestling magazine, which I think is like her 5th or 6th cover this year. And she's constantly doing PR work. So not only is she doing the hard yards in the ring, but she's doing promo work for her as well. So why wouldn't you keep the belt on her? Some fans are so like, no, I just want a change at the top. I'm like, man, I would have loved to see you as a wrestling fan in the 60s and 70s when Bruno was champion for like 8 or 9 years.
Well, I think that's part of what you say. First of all, is it the actual Stan Hansen was in that film, or the bloke we followed through the casino thinking it was Stan Hansen in Vegas and he turned out not to be?
I know it was Stan Hansen because he did interviews.
It was actual Stan Hansen, right? Okay, just double checking.
Yeah, we almost went up to that guy, and then I'm like,
poor guy.
he looked just like him, and I'm like, not for nothing, Rob, but if Stan Hansen was at WrestleCon, I would have definitely known about it.
Feel like you would have been advertised, yeah.
And not only that, but I would have like, we need to meet Stan Hansen. Like, it's right up there with Tony Storm. So we bumped into him twice.
We did. But I think, sort of putting a bow on this, the live crowds are a good indicator of where a company is. And as we've already mentioned, Stardom are on the up with their average attendances. And I just, again, briefly, every single month, apart from October, has been higher in cumulative attendance for Stardom than the previous year. And there's quite a few months. April is the highest month Stardom have ever drawn with 13,614. May was the highest ever May on record for Stardom. June was the highest June. There was another one as well. Was it January or was it February? I Can't find it now, but definitely April, May were both the highest on record for Stardom. And again, every month but October has been the highest in terms of 2025 and 2024 comparison. So regional crowds doing really well and national crowds doing really well as well. And that's a bigger indicator of where the company is. Moving on, then, just want to briefly talk about the 2 Stardom participations in Sendai Girls. So, on the 16th of November, we had Natsupoi and Aya Sakura taking part on the Sendai Girls Chihiro Hashimoto 10th anniversary show, Kabutsu a Decade. Aya Sakura and Natsupoi defeating Bob Momo Banana in a great match. Matt, this card from top to bottom was brilliant. I thought that the Senka and Spike match was really good. Obviously, the main event is one of the best matches you will see all year. Absolutely incredible match. I thought the semi-main was great as well. Apparently, Maria was injured in the match with Dash. You can't tell. And then, honestly, I completely unironically thought that Shin Sakura Hirota's performance as Chihiro Hashimoto is one of the greatest wrestling performances of the year. Like, legitimately, that 3-way, I laughed for the entire duration of it. I thought she was absolutely tremendous.
Yeah, this whole show, and again, cheap plug, myself and Andy Header did film this. We recorded our episode for Talk Joshi, which just this show. That's the main crux. We want to dedicate it, the whole episode to this show. My opinion, the best start to finish Sendai Girls show that I have seen. I've pretty much seen every one for the last year and a half or so. But this was an absolute great show. Again, if you have not seen this, definitely go out of your way to watch the whole show. The whole show's great. I totally agree that main event. I'll tell you right now, I gave it 5 stars. This one on the screen, Rob, between Bob Momo Banana and Natsupoi and Aya, I gave 4.25 stars to. But Rob, I want to ask you a good question, good sir, because you could be the tiebreaker. So myself and Andy, we did have the main event as our number 1 match.
Yep.
Our number 2 match, we kind of split. One of us have Aya and Natsupoi and Bob Momo Banana. The other one has Red Energy versus Veni and Takumi Iroha. So what match did you what tag match did you enjoy more? The Cosmic Angels versus Bob Momo Banana, or Red Energy versus Takumi and Veni?
Semi-main event.
There you go, buddy. There you go. I'm with you. Because of the hard-hitting style, I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Splitting hairs, though. Splitting hairs. Because this was again, this Natsupoi and Aya versus Bob Momo Banana match was just phenomenal. Just phenomenal.
It was, absolutely. And those moments between Natsupoi and Miya Momono were tremendous. And I thought Aya Sakura did well as sort of the supporting party to Natsupoi. But again, for me, this match was all about Poi and Mio. And again, if that led to any sort of singles match, I would be absolutely over the moon. I still love the fact that Bob Momo Banana come out to the Minions theme. That every single time they come out, because I forget it every single time, and then they come out and I laugh again because I remember it happens. It's great.
I love how they do this spot where they're doing all this running stuff, and they do it a couple times, but like the second or third time, they'll throw Oka's banana hat in, and then somebody will do this slip on a banana peel. They did it in a match with Lena Cross, and Lena's so tall, and it was so funny. She generally sold it like a cow on ice, and then they did it to Natsupoi. I'm like, of course they're going to do it to poor Natsupoi.
Bless her. But yes, absolutely. If you haven't had chance to see this show yet, legitimately the entire show is absolutely fantastic. But Aya and Poi versus Bob Momo Banana, Takumi Iroha and Veni versus Red Energy, and then of course the absolutely incredible main event between Sari and Chihiro Hashimoto. You know, it goes some way for me to say that this is Sari's best match of the year, when she's had so many great matches. Chihiro Hashimoto has been tremendous as well, but I thought this was just an absolutely brutish main event, and I loved everything about it. Of course, this isn't it, because Sendai Girls then ran another show in Sendai Pit on the 18th of November with more Stardom participation. This time, Syuri and Lady C taking on Team 200 kg, Chihiro Hashimoto and Yu. Non-title match basically as a prelude towards Team 200 kg's title defense against FWC on the 22nd, this coming Saturday, which is very exciting. Haven't had a chance to watch this on Wrestle Universe yet.
Not up yet.
Oh, is it not up yet?
That's
Right.
why.
Okay, that'll
That's
be why
why.
then. That'll be why I haven't had a chance to see it yet. But merely the promise of Syuri and Chihiro Hashimoto again is very, very exciting. And just to get you warmed up as to what this match potentially could be, Lady C posted yet another picture to her social media to show the absolute state of her chest following this match. It's something with it was captioned something like, "I've never screamed, no, I don't want to do this anymore before, but I did during this match." So someone ruined Lady C, and I can't wait to see which member of Team 200 kg it actually was.
The Sendai Girls Twitter page, they did release some clips of this, and there's one spot where Chihiro Hashimoto goes for the spear, and Shuri just knees her. She just throws the knee up. I'm like, oh,
Brutal.
I'm sure there's a receipt coming at the end of that. But I did check today on my lunch break to see if this was. I know this was VOD to see it was up because I was going to go straight to this match, and as of a few hours ago, it hasn't been up yet. So again, a cheap plug for us over at Talk Joshi. Again, the Sunday Girls show from Cork and Hall. That review on Talk Joshi that will be up on your feed this week, and then next week, more than likely, myself and Andy are going to review this show once it comes up, and then the show from Fukuoka on Saturday, which I think is live. I think that one's live. So, and again, very much like we'll have to talk about the scheduling because next week it is Thanksgiving. So myself and Rob, we're gonna have to get together when we can record the Stardom Cast and Marigold Standard. And very much me and Andy and I. It may be out a little bit later than usual because we're just gonna have to figure out through the holiday schedule when we can record. But yes, for Talk Joshi, we will be reviewing these last two shows from Sendai Girls. So Talk Joshi is going to be pretty much mainly Sendai Girls for the next 2 weeks.
I don't think there will be many people that mind that, Matt. Just final piece of Stardom participation. Suzu Suzuki was in the main event of today's Pro Wrestling Wave show at Tokyo Square in Itabashi. So it's great to see her back in action. Looks like she will be back for Stardom this coming Sunday. She was on the losing side, which she so often is at the moment, in a six-woman hardcore match. Ayumi Sasamura, Hibiscus Me, and Yuki Miyazaki defeated Anoka, Risa Sera, and Suzu Suzuki in 27 minutes. So, again, great news to see Suzu Suzuki back in action after a, let's call it stunted, Goddess of Stardom Tag League through illness. With that, Matt Turner, let's finally get into some shows, shall we? Let's talk about Night 5 of the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. This from the 13th of November 2025. We are at the Utri Multipurpose Hall in Aomori. 420 people in attendance. Now, this was a 26.57% decrease from the last time the company ran the venue, which was 572 people in July of this year. And it does fall below the average of 480 Stardom currently bring to the venue of the 5 shows they've currently run there. A couple of things to note before we get into the results from this show. Prior to the show, it was announced that both Suzu Suzuki and Emma Maishima would both miss the event. It turns out they would also miss the events in Sapporo as well. Suzuki missing out through illness, Emma through an unspecified injury. Now, as a result, Sayaka Aurora were awarded the match against Osu Chimadoru on a Joker, which is, of course, Suzu and Rina via forfeit. So Sayaka Aurora getting their first win of the tournament. In terms of results, then, we start with Tag League Red Goddess Action. Suri and Miku Kanai move to 4 points, defeating Bozilla and Akira Kuragane, who stay on 2. Miku Kanai pinning Akira with a jackknife in 10 minutes and 14 seconds. 6-woman tag team action. The Hate team of Saya Kamitani, Natsuko Tora, and Ruaka defeated the Stars team of Saya Ida, B. Priestley, and Momo Kogo. Saya Kamitani pinning Momo with the Star Crusher in 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Another tag team match, the Raiwa Tokyo Towers, Amisori and Lady C defeated Rana Yugami and Kikyo Furusawa. Lady C pinned Kikyo Furusawa with, let me hear you say it, the best big boot in the business in 13 minutes and 1 second. Another tag team match, Rina Yamashita and Hanako, apparently the team I didn't know I needed in my life, they defeated Sayaka Aurora, Aya Sakura and Sayaka Aurora, with Hanako getting yet another pinfall over Aya Sakura with the JP coaster in 11 minutes and 40 seconds. Last two matches are both tag league action. Blue Goddess first, Konami and Rina moved to 4 points. They defeated O2 Line, Azumi, and Miyu Amasaki. Konami submitting Azumi with the bodylock sleeper hold in 11 minutes and 33. This means that O2 Line remain on 2 points. And then in your main event, Red Goddess match, Aqua Stella, Meisera, and Yuna Mizumori moved to 4 points. They defeated Reckless Fantasy, Waka Tsukiyama, and Rian, who remain on 0, with Meisera getting the pinfall over Rian with the Sayonara or the goodbye piece, depending on which one you would like, in 14 minutes and 39 seconds. Matt, let's start with Sari and Miku Kanai getting a much-needed victory over Bozilla and Akira Kuragane. At the end of the last show, we talked about how things looked considerably rosier for Bozilla and Akira for one show. At least, turns out it was just for that one show, Akira eating another fall to Miku Kanai here.
Very much, I got some very much Marigold vibes with Bozilla and Sari, to literally the point where they did the Inoki Andre the Giant armbar finisher towards the end as a tease. I was like, oh, I remember this. First of all, Sari looks fantastic in that new gear where it's mostly silver with the red trim. Looks like an absolute badass, like an absolute star. Bozilla and Akira is one of the funnest stories we have going on in this Goddess of Stardom Tag League. Literally the point where it's like, you need to follow these two on social media because it's just so much fun. Like they're adding more to it even after the show is over. So really great stuff. Again, Sari and Miku Kanai, they're just fitting in so well. So well. I mean, they team up really great. I would love to see that after this Goddess tournament, if they team up more. I'd love to see them versus Sorry Boy and FWC, and maybe even make a run or even capture the Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Championships because they're really good. Again, great stuff with Bozilla and Sari. Bozilla, though, eventually she beats up Miku Kanai. And then we have this really great closing sequence with Miku Kanai and Sari. But ultimately, it's just some more great double teaming from Sari and Miku Kanai. And we do see that Sari helps out her tag partner to get that rolling corner-to-corner jackknife that I'm never not impressed with. Really great stuff. Again, a great opener to start this show. And I believe they put the first 2 or 3 matches free on YouTube. Very genius thing from Stardom because this was a great opener to start this show and really a great way to get more views onto your YouTube channel. 4 stars for me, my friend. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought this was great.
It was actually one of the best matches on this card. In fact, it was probably one of the best matches of the run of 3 shows we're going to talk about, aside from Aquastella versus DLM, which I thought was absolutely tremendous. Moving on then, non-tag league action. And again, because we've got 3 shows to talk about, guys, we probably won't spend too much time on the matches that aren't tag league focused. But Sai Kamitani getting the pinfall over Momo Kogo with the Star Crusher. It's been weird not seeing Sai Kamitani on these shows in Sapporo, so it was nice to revisit this and see her getting the pin, even if it was over Momo Kogo.
I know this is the tag league and this isn't a match that really has any stakes in it. I just wish it went a little bit longer, a little over 9 minutes. You have 6 great wrestlers. Again, I know stars is very scarce at this point.
Very sparse. They shouldn't be called stars. They should be called sparse.
Anywho, I'm really enjoying this trio of B, Momo, Kogo, and Saida. Obviously, you have the tag champs and the world champ on the other team for Team Hate. But I thought this was really great, excellent stuff with Saida and against the 2 members of BMI 2000. B Priestley, it's like, man, she comes and she really brings the fire. When we talk about like some really, really stiff strikes that she was throwing these last 2 shows, B Priestley is just, you can see that the fire is reunited in her. Like you can tell it's just like it was kind of stop with her over in WWE. But I thought she was terrific. And Sai Kamitani does a lot of things really good, Rob. And one of those things is she makes her opponents look fantastic. She gave so much to Momo Kogo in this match. Again, we sing Momo Kogo's praises all the time, but like she's bumping and feeding all over the place for Momo Kogo to the point where you're getting the last minute and a half of this match. I'm like, why is Saya doing that for Momo Kogo? Well, clearly Saya is bringing Momo Kogo up in this match then to defeat her, which she's making Momo Kogo mean something. She's making her offense mean something. And that's what happens. Ultimately, Saya Kamitani pinning Momo Kogo with the Star Crusher. 3 3/4 stars for me.
another non-tag league action, but I don't care because Lady C won, and again, it was with that big boot. Kikyo Furusawa, though, is someone who continues to impress, especially currently being the only rookie with so many rookies currently out injured. I thought she, again, gave a great account of herself here, even if it was ultimately for naught.
Yeah, again, not only great in ring bell to bell, but great curtain to curtain. She really kind of is getting that aura. She's really getting that confidence, that overall presence. We know, Rob, from watching Stardom as much as we do, after 5 or 6 months, you get a complete makeover and you get a whole new outfit. So I'm excited to see what her outfit's going to look like. I think she's probably due in February or March. But she's great. I love how she gets into the ankle lock. She has all different ways to getting into it. I'd like her to add maybe something on to that ankle lock, maybe an armbar. Maybe she'll go to the ankle lock and then transition to the armbar, again, attacking the body like a ladder, like Billy Robinson would always coach. Rana Yagami is fantastic here. I mean, you have Rana, who's a hard hitter. Ami is a hard hitter. Lady C, that's a hard hitter. So this match really, really made a lot of sense. It really fit really well. But ultimately, you're right. The hardest hitting part of the match is the finish. I always want to end it on your best spot. That running big boot, putting away poor Kikyo Furusawa. 3.5 stars for me.
And then Sayaka Aurora was supposed to take on Suzu and Rina. Obviously, that got changed. It became Rina and Hanako. And I must admit, considering this is the first time we have seen Rina and Hanako team together, I liked the vibe. I really liked the vibe.
Yeah, when you told me last week that Suzu's missing shows, and I was like, "What's the match that she's missing?" And he said it's against Aya and Sayaka. I'm like, "Man, that's one that I was really, really looking forward to." You're right. I like the vibe. We seen Rena. We saw her at the Marvelous show against Maya World, where it was like she did 3 different gimmicks. She tried to pay off the ref, so she did comedy. Then she had a straight wrestling match, and then
I
she had a
love
hard.
whenever she does that. It's great.
She did 3 different versions. Like, let me pay
She
off the ref,
does.
let me wrestle, and then let me go hardcore, do hardcore stuff. When I got to interview Maya World, she's like, "Yeah, half that stuff she didn't tell me she was going to do. I had to respond to it on the fly." Why Maya World should be getting signed. But anyway, we had a lot of comedy arena in this match. Like with her and Suzu, with the exception of them being 9 minutes late on their entrance against O2 Line a couple weeks ago, they're always serious because it's Suzu and it's Rena. It's just like, oh boy, someone's about to get their head kicked in. We had a lot more comedy on this one, but I thought a lot of this gelled really well. You're absolutely right. Her and Hanako, like, oh, all right, that fit really well. Aya and Sayaka, they were terrific here. Kind of odd why the one team that's in tag league, they ate the L here, but
I thought
maybe
that was weird. Yeah.
but ultimately, I don't think many people are going to remember this match when we get to the 29th and the 30th. Again, it was really great stuff. I totally agree. I like the vibe with Hanako and Rina, but it's Aya eating another L from Hanako. So it's really interesting to see where they go with that. My guess is either on the 29th or one of those shows on the 3rd. I think you're going to see Aya and Hanako do battle for the future of Stardom Championship. Ultimately, though, yes, it is the JP Coaster once again getting the win for Hanako. Thoroughly enjoyed this one, though, brother. 3 3/4 stars.
I imagine that Sayaka Aurora were probably going to eat the loss to Suzu and Rina in the tag league were everything as it should be. So I imagine that was easy just to sub in Hanako and have the same result. Obviously sad as that is. And at least Sayaka Aurora have an actual victory in the tag league now, as well as the forfeit victory. Moving on then, Jesus Christ. O2 Line and Konami and Rina. We did sort of bemoan our prediction at the end of the last episode where we went through the results of this show, but disappointing again for O2 Line. This is their last match of the tag league that we're going to be talking about. They're currently 1-3, so they've got 3 matches left. They have the potential to get up to 8 points, so it's not out of the realms of possibility, but they have got to win every single match left, and that's going to be a tall order to try and sneak into one of those top 3 positions, Matt.
Holding on to hope, buddy. I always say if I can hold on, I've been holding on to this 3-year Hazuki trying to win the white belt. This is easy. It's a walk in the park. I know we were disappointed in the result just because we both have O2 Line winning. We definitely was not disappointed in this match. This match was fantastic. Fantastic, to the shock of no one. This was great. This is probably my second favorite match of this show, and one of my favorite matches of these 3 shows we're going to review. I made mention of this when Azumi, Miyu, and Starlight Kid when they lost the artist belts to Konami, Rina, and Fukiin Death. There was these great sequences with Azumi and Konami. And considering, and partner, I don't think you're going to disagree with me, as great as Konami and Azumi have been their entire careers, in ring, this is probably their best years. This is probably their best year. I mean, especially for Azumi. Like, can you name me 5 wrestlers in all of wrestling that's having better matches than Azumi? I don't think you can. Konami's having a great year. You know, the matches with Starlight Kid was great in the 5-star. He's so far doing great stuff in the tag league. Don't get me wrong, Miyu was great here. Arena was great. But this closing sequence with Azumi and Konami was really next level. You know, Azumi and Miyu putting Konami down so Azumi can hit that top rope stomp for a 2 count, and then Azumi pours on the violence, hitting Konami with this brutal head kick. She goes for a second one, however, Konami locks her in the rear naked choke. Azumi is able to get out of the rear naked choke. Azumi catches Konami for a 2 count in the Azumi Sushi, but then as soon as Konami gets out of the Azumi Sushi, out of nowhere, here comes Miyu Amasaki, just like a straight line to hit up that pop-up DDT. Again, the tag team sequence with Azumi and Miyu Amasaki is on another level this last month. Another reason why I think they're going to win the tag league, because it's not like, hey, we need to practice more on our tag team so this way we can go 1-7 in the tag league. I don't think that's the motivation behind it. I could be wrong. I don't think it is. Ultimately, though, I love this spot. Konami, she hits a head kick onto Azumi. Azumi's trapped in the rear naked choke. She won't go down. She won't go down. She won't go down. We get a little hate interference, and then Rina uses the whip to kind of break down Azumi while she's in the rear naked choke, and that forces the tap out on Azumi. So I love this. I love the finish. I thought it made sense. You bend and broke the rules a little bit, but not where it was really deliberate, where it ruined the match at all. If anything, it got more heat on Konami and Rina, and it got more babyface sympathy onto Azumi and Miyu Amasaki. Maybe it's that babyface sympathy that is going to propel them to win their last 3 matches and win the tag league route. Again, I'm hoping on hope. 4 stars for me. Thoroughly love this match. And Konami and Rina are absolutely crushing it in this tag league. They're having really great matches.
I mean, look, we've said it's not looking great for O2 Line. Their remaining 3 matches are against Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora.
Win.
You would hope so. That is in Kyoto, which of course is Miyu Amasaki's hometown. You would assume they're winning that one. Amisori and Lady C, they have got on the 26th in Kandamyojin. They've also got Hanako and Megan Bayne, who are 4-0 and are unbeaten and don't look like dropping a fall at a moment. That is their next match in Iwaki on the 24th of November.
Rob, I'm going to mention 2 things about that match. Obviously Hanako and Megan Bayne, they're due, but I'm going to say it's a double pin, giving Azumi and Miyu Amasaki 4 points in one match. Like, is that a thing?
4 points in one match.
Is that a thing?
I think, again, I do still think, now that my emotions have calmed down, I do think O2 Line will probably sneak into that 3rd spot. I think the chances are Hanako and Megan Bayne are going to win the block. That's what it's looking like, and it's looking like potentially Shiori and Saki Kashima as well. Although, again, Konami and Rina are the team to beat as well. They currently sit on 6 points as well. I would argue that Azumi and Zaya are absolutely going to beat Sayaka Kurora and Aya Sakura, much as I love them. I think they are going to beat the Reiwa Tokyo Towers, because Reiwa Tokyo Towers have had a spotty start as well. And again, I imagine that we are going to see Hanako rolled up potentially with the Azumi Sushi or the Amana Hashidate as well. So again, that's something that we can hang our hope on to, Matt, because at the moment, when it comes to O2 Line, we haven't got a great deal to hang our hope onto. Main event time then, and it is, of course, Rian's hometown in Hachinohe City. Unfortunately, her and Waka Tsukiyama continued their miserable record in the tag league, a record that will not get better as we continue this podcast, but Aqua Stella getting the win with Meisera hitting Rian with the sayonara in 14 minutes and 39 seconds. Only 20 seconds till the time limit. I did briefly think that Waka and Rian were going to hold on, but not quite. What did you think of the performance here, specifically of Rian? Obviously, we love Waka, but Rian in particular, with this being her hometown, with the focus being on her, how do you think she fared in this match?
You're absolutely right, partner. We just said the focus was Rian. And when they built this match and when they made this match and they're putting this match together, they made Rian look like a huge focal point in this match because she took a butt kicking. She came back. She showed great fighting spirit. And I guess when the week before, when you're up in Cerie's face, I'm like, I don't care. Like, bring it. Like, I'm in my hometown. I'm going to be fine. She was great. And again, her and Waka as a team were terrific. I know they're sitting on 0 points, which if you go to think about it, they got the last year, they won their first 2 matches and dropped every single fall. So they're very much like Hazuki at the end of Hazuki's 2022 5-star run into 2023. It's just like, oh my God, it's loss after. If you're going after last year, it's loss after loss. But very much like Hazuki at the end of 2022 and the beginning of 2023, even though they're eating L's, they're having great matches. This was a great match to close this show. Yuna and Mei Sarah, very much like Hina and Rana Yagami, are teams that are 2 wrestlers that really haven't teamed up this much before, but they're like stealing the show. They're really stealing the show as far as performance goes. And considering Yuna did it last year with Aya and is doing it again here with Mei, and at the end of every match, once Mei gets the belt, Yuna's kind of pointing at him. They always make sure the camera goes there. So we know we're running that back. But that Rana here was great. Waka was great. There's one spot where Mei goes to throw that lightning fast low drop kick, and Waka moves out of the way, and then she uses her momentum to hit a lightning fast running hip attack. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Then you got Stone Cold Rian hitting that Stone Cold Rana out of the corner that we do see her do. It's like patented Rian stuff. Thoroughly enjoy that. Rian hit some brutal forearms to Yuna and Mei, but then we have Yuna and Mei basically doing their best Bob Momo banana impersonation where they're doing the dueling drop kicks back and forth. Thoroughly enjoy that. Rian hits a huge, eventually after the drop kicks, Waka comes in, sends everybody to the floor. Rian hits a huge dive onto the floor. Rian then throws in Mei Sarah into the ring, hits a fisherman suplex that everybody in her hometown thought was going to be the finish. Really great fisherman suplex from Rian, very much like Soriano and the late great Kurt Hennig, getting up high on the toes there, my friend. I was thoroughly impressed with that. Ultimately, though, Mei Sarah comes back with that beautiful 90-mile-an-hour dropkick right to Rian's head, and then hits the goodbye peace powerbomb to close out a great show. 4 stars for me, my friend. Again, this show had a lot of really, really solid tag team wrestling on it, and a really great match to end a fantastic show.
So let's move on then to night 6 and night 7 of the Tag League then. So both these nights, the 15th and the 16th of November, would be in the Chateraise Gato Kingdom Sapporo in Hokkaido. And these, as we mentioned, were really weird shows. They felt more like co-promoted shows than Stardom shows. And the reason for this, so obviously at the same time as Stardom running shows in Sapporo, both Diana and Wave were running shows in Sapporo as well. So there was a lot of talent swapping as well. So on this show, on the 15th, we had Nanami, we had Haruka Umasaki, we had Mizuki Kato, and we had Hanoka all participating on this show. Now, in terms of the attendance, 455 people. Now, this is a 56.91% decrease from the previous show at the venue. Now, take that with a pinch of salt, because that was 1,056 people for Sapporo Rendezvous in July, which was main evented by Saya versus Natsupoi for the red belt. So, again, take that with a pinch of salt. It is the second lowest attendance Stardom have brought to the venue in the 6 times that they've run there, the lowest being 445 back in July 2022. That being said, the number is still the second highest at the venue this year for any company, and is only the second behind Sapporo Rendezvous to surpass 400 people. So yes, this might be a poor number on the face of it, but actually in the grand scheme of Sapporo, and if you remember, we waxed lyrical about that Sapporo Rendezvous number, because again, they reached it over 1,000 people. And in Sapporo, where people don't tend to draw dreadfully well, Stardom don't tend to draw dreadfully well in Sapporo. That was a great number. So to be only the second show out of 10, I believe, for this show that had passed 400 people. I think Wave did 300. I think Diana did late 200s. So again, a really good number. However, let me just read the list of people who are missing from this card in terms of Stardom. And tell me, Matt, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way at all, if you are paying to go and see Stardom, and then these names are missing from your card. Now, some of these obviously Stardom can't help because of injury. So this is the complete list I've got it written down. Hanan, Xena, Ann Kanai, Motoi Hamabe, Bozilla, Akira Kuragane, Suzu Suzuki, Emma Maishima, Saya Kamitani, Azumi, Miyu Amasaki, Starlight Kid, Momo Watanabe, Syuri, Saki Kashima, Maika, Natsupoi, Sioriano, and Aya Sakura. And that's not taking into account some of the freelancers who have been doing a lot of work with Stardom, such as Tomoka Inaba, Azusa Inaba, and Sari. Now, I do not want to be disrespectful in the slightest when I say this. If I'd paid money to see a Stardom show and that volume of talent was missing from the card, now, obviously, you can't help Starlight Kid being missing. You can't help Momo being missing, Micah. That's by the by. And obviously, there were, scheduling conflicts. Obviously, Natsupoi was on the Sendai Girls show. Sioriano was at Oz Academy. There's stuff like that you cannot help. But I would be quite disappointed if I was going to this show and there was no Azumi, no Saya Kamitani, and no names like that. And again, you look at this card, and there is a lot of matches where you are asking lower mid carders to do the bulk of the heavy lifting. Again, Konami and Rina are in both main events against the Reiwa Tokyo Towers and the Mega Skyscrapers. You've got, again, Aqua Stella doing a lot of the heavy lifting over these two shows with Meisera and Yuna Mizumori. Again, obviously, I know we are a very positive podcast, and these two shows were still good. Don't get me wrong. There were still great moments. Again, that semi-main event of the first show on the 15th was fantastic. One of the best shows of the Tag League. These were weird shows. Like, come on.
Well, first of all, buddy, you missed one name on there.
Of course. Fukigen Death. Of course, how could I forget?
I mean, right there, it's like, I can, Shuri,
And I know Aya Sakura was only missing for one show, by the way. I realized that. But even so, she was still missing from the 16th.
Buddy, you're right. It just still was a pretty good show, but compared to everything that we've seen leading up to in the Goddess tournament, it was kind of just like, it felt like Stardom light. It really just
felt like they did.
And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of the wrestlers from Wave I like. There's a lot of wrestlers from Diana. Like, I'm a big fan of Haruka Yamasaki. Again, she did challenge at Dream Queendom a few years ago for Sai Kamitani's Wonder of Stardom Championship. She's a great wrestler, but it's just like, no disrespect to them, but would I take them over a Starlight Kid, a Hanan, a Shuri, a Sai Kamitani, Mo Watanabe, so on and so forth. So yeah, I get it. I understand the low draw. I understand why it was a good show. Both of them were good shows, but not great shows. There were some really great matches here, like the opener here on night one. We're going to talk about Konami and Arena was terrific. Hanako, Megan Bayne, they were great. There was still some solid stuff, but there was some matches that I was like, okay, let's get on with it. Yeah, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but like when you're conditioned to like we're watching Stardom multiple times per week, and again, how lucky are we? It's just like this just doesn't feel like a Stardom show. It doesn't feel like I felt like almost it was like a Diane and Wave show with some Stardom talent on it. That's how
I felt. Yeah. Now, I am completely on board with giving people time off. Completely on board with giving 100%. People time off. And obviously, I know it is a hell of a journey from Tokyo, where Stardom is based, all the way to Sapporo on the North Island. So I understand that. There's a lot of traveling. I know that Bozilla and Akira were obviously on the LLPWX show as well. So there was scheduling conflict there. And obviously, again, you can't help injuries. Starlight Kid, Hanan, Momo Watanabe, Suzu Suzuki went down with illness. You can't help that. Those are victims of circumstance. It does. I think the show did suffer because ultimately those names I've read out it's an entire roster of people that Stardom are missing for this show. And again, I don't know what the answer to that is in terms of scheduling. But there we are. I think the show did suffer. In terms of the results, then obviously we are getting more of an idea of where teams are fitting in terms of the blocks now. So we open with a Tag League Blue Goddess match. Sayaka Aurora getting their first actual victory of the tournament. Isuka and Sayaka Aurora moving to 4 points, defeating the Reiwa Tokyo Towers, which was a bit of a shock, I'm not going to lie. Amisori and Lady C, Sayaka Aurora rolling up Lady C with the Sakura latch in 10 minutes and 22 seconds. The Raiwa Tokyo Towers on 2 points. Singles match, Nanami Hitano defeated Kikyo Furusawa with a Dragon Sleeper in 9 minutes and 15 seconds. Another tag team match, the Stars team of Sayurita and B. Priestley, they defeated Rina Yamashita and Hanoka, with Sayurita pinning Hanoka with the Ida Bashi. Should be pointed out that it should have been B. Priestley and Sayurita versus Suzu Suzuki and Rina Yamashita on the show. Obviously, that couldn't happen because of Suzu's illness. So B. Priestley and Sayurita, or Sayabida, as B. Priestley wants them to be called, well, I'm all there for that sort of punnage, and they received the win via forfeit. BMI 2000, Natsukatora and Ruaka, they defeated Haruka Umasaki and Mitsuki Kato, with Natsukatora pinning Kato with the diving body press in 8 minutes and 44 seconds. Last three are tag league action. Red Goddess match. Ronnie Yagami and Hina moved to 4 points. They defeated Reckless Fantasy, Waka Tsukiyama and Rian. Rana pinning Waka with the beat strike in 8 minutes and 54 seconds. Rana, Yagami, and Hina moving to 4 points. Reckless Fantasy remaining with a big rock at the bottom of the Red Stars League. More Red Goddess action. Aqua, Stella, Mesea, and Yuna Mizumori moved to 5 points, as do Dos Locos de Mexico, Osita, and Tio Teleco. They ended in a 15-minute time limit draw, our only time limit draw of the tournament so far, in what was quite easily, Matt, I think, match of the show, match of the weekend, and one of the matches of the tournament. And then in your main event, Blue Goddess match, the Mega Skyscrapers, Megan Bayne and Hanako, moved to 6 points, defeating Konami and Rina, who stay on 4. Megan Bayne pinning Konami with an F5 in 13 minutes and 59 seconds. Just like before, we'll focus more on the actual tag league matches than the other matches. Matt, a win for Sayaka Aurora, and unfortunately, Raiwa Tokyo Towers suffering from the Rob almost picked them for the tag league curse.
Yeah, like you had the rival Tokyo Towers and O2 line. I think they have a combined 4 points going into
do,
this.
yes. Even together, they still wouldn't make a third shot at the moment.
Who knows? Holding on to hope. However, I hope this match was great, and it was great. Again, really great. I'm loving Sayaka and Aya as a tag team. Again, they're the New Blood champions. Lady C and Ami Sori coming off a really good challenge for the Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Championships in the main event of Cork and Hall. So a lot of momentum with these two teams, other than the fact that they both have 2 points going into this match. So it's almost like a must win. So again, great job on Stardom. They put this free on YouTube. They put this really, really great match on. Great way to start the show. And it almost felt like a must win for both teams. Ultimately, though, it's just really great stuff when it comes down to Lady C and Aya Sakura. Lady C hitting a huge choke slam onto Aya Sakura for a 2 count. And then Sayaka Aurora ends the momentum, hitting a huge spear onto Lady C. And that opens up the door for Aya Sakura to hit the leg capture, basically leg capture roll up onto Lady C that she calls the Sakura lock. Is that what it's called, Rob?
The Sakura latch.
Oh, excuse me. Let me write that down so now I know it. Again, a really good match because you had a lot of teamwork back and forth between the two. You just had this really great closing stretch with Lady C and Aya. And I liked it how Sayaka had to come in and bail out Aya and help her get the win. That shows really great teamwork. It's very much like we saw a lot over the last 7 or 8 months with Wingor, with Saida and Hanan, where Ida helping out Hanan and vice versa. And we saw that here. I'm really enjoying how much better Aya and Sayaka are gelling and helping each other out as a team, especially towards the end. Great way to start this show. 3.5 stars for me.
Moving on to a singles match then. Nanami was actually supposed to be on a Stardom show not long ago, but unfortunately it was a New Blood show, I believe, and unfortunately had to pull out the morning of due to injury. I think she was actually replaced by Yuki Mashiro, unless I'm very much mistaken.
I think you're right.
But yeah, got a match here, got a lot of time against Kikyo Furusawa, eventually getting that win with a Dragon Sleeper. What did you think of this, Matt? And what did you think of the performance of Satellite God's Eye member? Let's not forget that. Nanami.
Nanami was great. Her and Kikyo, they had really great chain wrestling in the beginning. Really great fundamentals between the two, where you're kind of building. It was a great back and forth match. We did see Kikyo going to that pad and ankle lock quite a bit, and again showing different ways to get into it. Nanami had a lot of really great, like the high speed style offense, hitting the big top rope splash for a 2 count. Great back and forth between the two, with eventually Nanami getting out of the ankle lock, locking in a rear naked choke, and then transitioning it into the Dragon Sleeper. I like that. I like how she was able to transition her submissions back and forth. 3.25 stars. Again, a really, really fun and solid match.
Yeah, and I think again, when you are looking at someone like Akiko Furusawa, a solid singles match on these cards is exactly what you need. Again, I know that we were quite, or at least I was anyway, a little bit negative about the roster on these cards. One thing that it does do is that Stardom have been able to rest people. I know that Azumi has recently had time off with injury. I know it will have been disappointing to the crowd not being able to see, you know, a big roster from Stardom, but from a company aspect, taking off my fan glasses and thinking about it from a company aspect, having the opportunity to rest talent is very, very important. It does give a chance to the likes of Kikyo Furusawa to have a match with Nanami. And actually, in this next match as well, Hanoka, who I am a huge fan of, and I'm always happy to see on Stardom shows, I actually think she capitalized really, really well, especially in her exchanges with Sayarida, Matt.
Yeah, Hanoka was great. You're absolutely her and Saida were terrific. But where my money was for this match was the bomb fest between B and Rena. I mentioned before, we talked about B's 6-person tag match that they had at the last show we just reviewed. Just B's just in her element. Like she fits Stardom so well. Like she absolutely brings the fire with these strikes and the bumping and the feeding and the firing up. And it honestly looks like she's having the time of her life. Like we always say B's a better heel. Like B is such a great heel.
Oh, yeah,
But
by far.
but since she's been back in Stardom, she just seems like, I don't know if we could turn her heel. Just obviously she's in Stars. Don't turn her heel just yet, because she's just so happy to be in the ring. It's like no one can boo her right now, because it's just like, the journey that she's been on over the last few months, again with the start and stop with WWE and NXT. It's like, oh my God, she's on SmackDown, and then they pretty much bury her the moment she gets there. I'm like, that's not helping her. And now she's absolutely crushing it in Stardom. And she was crushing some forums with Rena. Again, really great back and forth stuff. I agree. Hanako was great. B and Saida as a team are really terrific. What's the name of the team for Rita?
Sayabida.
Sayabida. I went the other way, but I really enjoyed this. This was my favorite match of the show. 4 stars for me. Again, I want to see a singles match with Rena and B Priestley, because boy howdy, they didn't hold anything back. Ultimately, though, it was a really great closing sequence with Hanako and Hanaka and Saida going back and forth with the pins. Saida being just a little bit too cagey, catching her in the Itabashi. 4 stars for me, buddy. I love this one. I thought this was a absolute great, a hidden gem of a match, even though it's not in the tournament, but of these 3 shows.
We saw the return of Haruka Umasaki to a Stardom ring, Matt, and I know that you are a big fan, as you mentioned earlier. How do you think she fared against the tag team champions?
I thought she was really good. I thought the booking could have been a little bit better. I think this was basically your heels versus babyface, where you have the champions kind of dominate. You have the long heat and the kind of stretching things out. I would have put Haruka in a match, though, with maybe one of like a Meisera, a Yuna. Obviously she had that great match with Saya Kamitani, where I think this was just kind of a straightforward heels versus babyface. Was she great? Yeah, she was. Was BMI 2000 getting the proper heat? Of course, they're fantastic. But I thought the casting for Umasaki could have been a little bit better, considering we don't get to see her wrestle as much as we would like, because she's not on the Stardom roster. Ultimately, though, I thought the match did what it needed to do. It got more heat on BMI 2000 and makes them look like a threat going further on this back half of the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. And I thought Kato, I thought she played her role really well. I thought there was some great spots with her and Tora and her and Ruaka, but ultimately just the great teamwork of BMI 2000 that puts away the team of Umasaki and Kato, with Tora hitting Kato with the top rope splash. 3.25 stars for me.
We move back to tag league action. Ron Yagami and Hina picking up a much needed victory at the expense of Waka and Rian. Matt, obviously, Reckless Fantasy still with a big globe at the bottom of Red Goddess block. But again, performances are coming, even if they are ultimately unsuccessful.
0 points for Reckless Fantasy, but number 1 in our hearts, Rob. I may say a 0, but number 1 in our hearts is Stone Cold Rian and 1 Waka. I made mention of this before. I'm gonna make mention again. Like when this tournament's over and we have like who's the breakout team, I think it's gonna be Hina and Rana. And I know they're in God's eye together, but they rarely team up as a tag team. And I think Rana challenged Hina twice for the artist belt, once at All-Star Grand Queendom, maybe the greatest show in wrestling history. And then I think somewhere somewhere else. I think it was at a Korakuen or might have been even the Rendezvous show. I think Rana's had 2 cracks at Hina's Future Stardom Championship. After this tournament, I don't know what they have for Hina or Rana. Team them up, have them make a run towards the belts. I don't know necessarily they need to win them, but team them up because they are great. And this was a great tag match. Again, you want to talk about a great hidden gem of a match. You got the great start off with Hina and Rana just punishing Waka. Waka's able to come back with the hip attacks. Rian, she comes in with that corner Rana. Great stuff there. Then ultimately, Rana plays the role of Shiri, and then Rian plays the role of Natsupoi, where Rana just kicks the dog out of poor Rian. Like, really?
Oh,
Am I there? Here I am.
sorry.
What happened? Did I just went away?
No idea.
Boom, boom, I'm in and out. But ultimately, I love we've seen this quite a bit where Rana will hit a big head kick, and that opens up the door for Hina for the ghetto clutch onto Rian. I thoroughly enjoy that. Hina hits the Hina special onto Rian, and then Rana hits the beach strike onto Waka, and then Rana hits another beach strike. So she hits 2 of them back to back, putting away Waka. 4 stars for me, less than 10 minutes. This was great, told a great back and forth story, and it really showed the explosive offense, especially towards the end of Hina and Rana, not only as singles wrestlers, but tag wrestlers. Again, thoroughly enjoyed this. 4 stars for me.
Now, for the sake of this review, we are going to be assuming, because we can only assume, Matt Turner, that Osita and Tietaleko are indeed Hazuki and Koguma. We don't know, obviously. We've had nothing confirmed. We have no dirt. We are not insiders. We don't know. We are assuming. It is alleged. This was tremendous. This was really, really good. And obviously, we know what Hazuki and Mei Seira are capable of after their match at Crimson Nightmare, after their match at Supreme Fight a couple of years ago. And then you throw Yuna into the mix. You throw a Koguma who, under this new guise of Asita, is doing more of the serious wrestling, the more lucha style wrestling. I thought this was fantastic. I thought these 2 teams gelled tremendously. And Matt, you talked about breakout teams. I know that Mei Seira is someone you know who is up near the top of the card anyway. For me, it has to be Aqua Stella because I think they have been absolutely must-see appointment viewing in every single match they've had. This very much is the piece de resistance against Dos Locas de Mexico, who, when it was announced that FWC were being replaced in the tournament with DLM, we assumed that this would be okay. They're going to be just, not goofing off, but it's a chance for them to do something different. They're probably not going to be taken too seriously. Au contraire, and I love that. Yeah, we are going to do something different, but we're going to wrestle in a completely different style. We're going to do it as utter badasses. All here for that. And actually, DLM were also on the Wave show as well. Not the Wave show, the Diana show as well. Absolutely tremendous match. One of, I think, my favorite matches of the tournament so far. Definitely top 3. Absolutely love this match, Matt. And to be fair, we often bemoan the use of a time limit draw. This is the first one on night 6 of the actual tournament, and I thought this one actually felt earned.
Yeah, this is my favorite tag league match that doesn't have Soripoi in it, which goes to show you how great Soripoi is. This was great, and I totally agree. I was all about the time limit draw. The way that it built, as you're getting to like a minute 11, a minute 12, you're like, I think this is going to go to the time limit draw, and it makes sense. You're kind of at the back half of the tournament. We haven't seen any of them. And not only that, but this ties them both up at 5. So now you have the question, if it goes to the tiebreaker, who gets the top speed? And so now you have that question, what are they going to do? Is it going to be a playoff for seed 1, seed 2, seed 3? Because now there's no tiebreaker. They're both at 5. So now you have that question in the back of your head as we go in these final few nights of the Goddess Tournament, which just makes it that more exciting. Speaking of exciting, you're absolutely right. This match was so good. Really great high-paced action. Again, Mei Seira, the current high-speed champion. Hazuki, former high-speed champion. Koguma, former high-speed champion. Yuna, probably the next high-speed champion, Rob, I think.
You would assume.
Yeah. However, when we assume things, we don't. We always say
makes an ass out of you and me.
You and me. You're absolutely right because we did say Tokyo Towers are going to be great. O2 line. Hazuki's definitely getting that white belt. Like, oh man. I liked it how they basically we talked about my Sakurai quite a bit over on the Marigold Standard. How she's more the serious character. she doesn't do the Paradise Lock that much anymore. But Hazuki and Kaguma and their Mexican gimmicks, they do the Paradise Lock. So it's like, yeah, we'll take a page of the lady ship. So it really seems like they're watching their May Sakurai 2023 tapes as well as their Undertaker tapes with all the rope walk that they're doing. So I loved how Yuna on the comeback here, the double shoulder tackles, the double clotheslines, like she just explodes into action. And Hazuki and Kaguma are bumping and feeding and making sure they're in the right place at the right time to make all of Yuna's offense look better than it already does. Absolutely love that. Yuna and May, they stop the double dive. I like that. You're like, oh man, are you thinking to get the double dive? They stop it. We get into a really great sequence between the two. However, FWC, they hit we get a fight onto the end of the a fight outside, and FWC they do the double body slams onto May and Yuna on the floor, and then we get the double dive, the double low main. So again, I always say it, and I'm going to say it again. I love it when you're going to get a really big spot, like, oh, here we go, this is going to be really cool, and then it gets stopped. Like, oh man, I really wanted to see it, and then it happens a minute or two after, where it's built up even more, and even they built up the anticipation. So I thoroughly like that. We get a great strike combination onto May Sarah, and then we get a German suplex exchange between May Sarah and Hazuki. And then we get some back and forth, really fast roll-ups with Hazuki and May. Hazuki hits a big super kick that scores Hazuki a 2 count. Then Hazuki goes for a power bomb onto May Sarah. May Sarah hits this crazy Hurricanrana that scores her a 2.9 count, and then the bell rings. Totally agree, partner. This was my favorite match of these 3 shows we're going to review, and probably 3 or 4, definitely my top 5 favorite matches of this tournament. 4.25 stars. Great stuff. May and Yuna, it just absolutely works. FWC doing a completely different thing under mask. Completely works for them. Excellent stuff. Again, 4.25 stars for me.
Main event time then. The Mega Skyscrapers continuing their perfect record to move 3-0 in the tournament over Konami and Rian. Megan Bayne gained the win over Konami, which technically, Matt, puts her alongside Amisori and Saya Ida as having a legitimate claim to the Wonder of Stardom Championship.
It's really weird because Konami wins this belt, right? And we're like, oh, she'll hold it for a little bit. She'll go to V1, V2, and probably drop it, in Sumo Hall, get the big baby face with a Tannen or Starlight Kid or whoever, get them their big moment on the semi-main event. So you're like, okay, we understand that. Like, obviously, they're giving Amisori a win here and Saida a win here so Konami can get the win back on the way to Ryogoku. But then Megan Bayne pins it. I'm like, couldn't have Rina? So it's like, it was almost like, hey, Konami, guess what? You're going to win the white belt against Starlight Kid. Great. I've been chasing that belt for years. There's only one catch. No problem. I'll do whatever. You got to put everybody over in the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. Like this year, yeah, the one starting in like 4 days. You got to put everybody over. So I was like, okay. Again, Megan Bayne and Hanako they're fantastic. Megan Bayne just has this whole new aura about her. And again, considering as of this recording, she wrestled on Dynamite last night. So again, does the Goddess tournament, goes over to Blood and Guts, has a great match, goes over, does these 2 shows for Stardom, and then is back over in AEW, and then has to go back and finish. Like, man, with the frequent flyer miles that she's going to have, she's going to be able to fly around the world for free for quite some time, but good on her. And you would be like, she probably has jet lag. She'll be okay, but like she won't be fantastic. And you'd be forgiven for her to maybe not put out the Megan Bayne 100% performance. Every one of these matches, buddy, she's crushing it. Her and Hanako are crushing. There were some great sequences with Hanako and Konami. Great stuff with Megan Bayne and Rina. And again, a lot of great double team stuff with Rina and Konami. Again, another tag team that is really, really opening up a lot of eyes towards the end of this tournament. We do see Megan Bayne. She's adopting this crazy Falcon Arrow, very like Hayabusa style, gets you up and brings you down properly. Like we haven't really seen her do that much, but really using the Falcon Arrow quite a bit as a setup for a finisher in this tournament. Thoroughly enjoy that. Then we get this really great sequence with Konami, really firing up on Megan Bayne. Forearms, kicks, Megan Bayne selling like she's been shot out of a cannon. Really great stuff. Ultimately, though, we have that beautiful stalling suplexes with Hanako and Megan Bayne, which we've seen pretty much in every match. And what a visual that is, where you just have 2 of your biggest, strongest wrestlers just holding them up. Very Davey Boy Smith, Harley Race style. And then we get the big bump, and then ultimately Megan Bayne putting Konami away with the F5. Really, really solid show, especially the Stardom participation, especially these last 2 matches. 4 stars for me, my friend. Hanako and Megan Bayne undefeated as, again, we go into these last 2 weeks of the tournament, which tells me that they are due They are due for an O from O2 line. See what I did there?
Love it.
And then what's the next number after the O? 2 points for Izumi and Miyu Amasaki. Yeah.
Absolutely relentless. Absolutely relentless. We move on to the final night of Stardom in Sapporo on the 16th of November. Obviously, I've already mentioned the people that aren't in attendance. Natsuko and Naya Sakura, both on the Sendai Girls show at Korakuen Hall. Sayori Ano is in the Oz Academy show in Okinawa. Suzu Suzuki and Amamai Shima both still out with injury. But something that is quite nice is that Natsu Sumire makes her first Stardom appearance on this show in over 2 years when she teams with DLM on this show. Her last appearance, Matt, February 2022, as a part of a four-way match at Stardom in Showcase Volume 4. It also marks the Stardom debut of freelancer Kao Kobayashi. In terms of Wave and Diana talent on this card, we've got Mike Ozaki, Yuri, Haruka Umasaki, Mizuki Kato, Rina Amikura, Yuki Miyazaki, and Kohaku as well. In terms of the attendance, then, from the same venue, the Chateraise Gato Kingdom Sapporo in Hokkaido, 407 people. Now, this is a 10.55% decrease from the previous day's show, and it is the lowest recorded attendance for Stardom in the venue. Though it is worth pointing out, it is still the third highest of the year in the venue. So take that for what you will. So we opened with Tag League Red Goddess action. Aqua, Stella, Meisera, and Yuna Mizumori moving to 7 points, defeating Hina and Ron Yagami, who stay on 4. Meisera pinning Hina with the shooting star in 7 minutes and 51 seconds. In a 6-woman tag match, Kaho Kobayashi, Mike Ozaki, and Yori defeated Dos Locas de Mexico, Osita and Tio Teleco, and Natsu Sumire. Mike Ozaki pinning Natsu Sumire with the Argentine backbreaker in 12 minutes and 24 seconds. Tag team match, Sayaka Kurora and Kohaku defeated Mizuki Kato and Haruka Umasaki. Kohaku pinned Mizuki Kato with a frog splash in 10 minutes and 44 seconds. Goddess of Stardom Tag League Red Goddess match, BMI 2000. Natsuko Tora and Ruaka, they moved to 6 points, defeating Reckless Fantasy, Wax Tsukiyama, and Rian, who stay on 0. Ruaka pinning Rian with a straight jacket German suplex in 10 minutes and 25 seconds, meaning that Reckless Fantasy are your first official team eliminated from the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League this year. Tag team match, Rina Amakura and Yuki Miyazaki defeated Rina Yamashita and Kikyo Furusawa. Rina pinning Kikyo with the diving senton in 12 minutes and 36 seconds. We've then got 2 Blue Goddess matches for the Tag League to see us out. The Mega Skyscrapers, Hanako and Megan Bayne, make it 4 out of 4 with 8 points, defeating Saya Ida and B. Priestley. Hanako submitting Saya Ida with the Shirasagi in 14 minutes and 54 seconds, just 6 seconds away from the time limit. And then in your main event, more Blue Goddess action as Konami and Rina move to 6 points, defeating the Raiwa Tokyo Towers, Amisori and Lady C, with Rina pinning Amisori with the Pink Devil in 14 minutes and 28 seconds. Matt, obviously they have wrestled more matches, 3 more matches. In fact, there's only 1 match left for Aqua Stella in this tournament, but 7 points. They are certainly in with a shout of reaching the playoffs now. But again, another really good performance, both from them, but from Hina and Rani Yagami as well, who I know that you are a huge, huge fan of in this tag team tournament, the more you see them.
Yeah, again, these 2 teams, you mentioned before how May and Yuna are probably the breakout tag team of this tournament, and Hina and Rana, they're right. Again, obviously, we still have a few more to go, but they're probably the 2 teams that are like, wow, I knew they'd be good. I didn't know they'd be this good. My one problem with this match, and it has nothing to do with the talent, 8 minutes. Less than 8 minutes, considering some of these matches we're going to talk about went on like 2 or 3 minutes too long, where it's like, oh, you really should have wrapped it up. You should have given the time to the actual Stardom wrestlers in the tournament. Regardless, I thought this was great. Great teamwork, great stuff back and forth. Really great underrated chemistry with Hina and Meisera. That's a pairing we don't see that much across the ring
At
before.
all.
Yeah, where you're kind of just like, wow, like just right off the bat, excellent stuff there. Again, Hina and Rana Yagami, the way they're playing in each other's strengths, where Hana's you're using the striking of Rana to go with the judo that is Hina, and then just the blitzing pace that May and Yuna do. We see it quite a bit when she teams up with the Zumi as part of Neogenesis, or when May teams up with Starlight Kid, again, as part of Neogenesis, where it's basically two high-speed wrestlers doing great high-speed teamwork. And they're just basically kind of taking the same playbook and just plugging Yuna in and just using her style of plays. And it just works. It really works with them. Really great stuff towards the end. May hits the super kick on Hina. And then Yuna takes out Rana with the big lariat. Yuna and May hit those stereo fisherman suplexes onto Hina and Rana. And then May puts away Hina with that rolling shooting star roll up. 4 stars for me. Again, a great match. Wish it would have got about 2 minutes longer. That's just me.
I mean, obviously, Sayori Poi are going to take some beating, but I think Aqua Stella are making a play for best team in the tournament so far in terms of match quality. They're certainly up there anyway. Matt, obviously, we saw the return of Natsu Sumire, which is a real bright point on these two shows. At least for me, it's great to see her back. How do you think she did? And what did you think about debutante Kaho Kobayashi?
I thought she was great. I've never seen her before. I was like, who's this in this match? And I kind of had to go to the social medias to be like, I don't know who this other person is in this match. And I thought she was great. She had a great look. She stood out. She's ripped. She almost looks like Chan Yoda as far as like the physical specimen, like just not
Her
an ounce of
shoulders
fat on
are
her
insane, by the way.
shoulders. Yeah, she does. She's not like me. She doesn't skip leg day. But yeah, she looked great. Obviously, Uriah, she was terrific. I would like to see her and Hazuki in a straight out match. You kind of had a lot of this was based on Natsu Sumire. She played like the hits. She did the comedy, got over with the crowd. FWC. They only did a little bit of the FWC stuff, but I was really enjoying this team that I've never seen before with Kobayashi. Obviously, Uriah. We talked about her great match she had with Mirai back at the Sarism show not that long ago. And Ozaki, we've seen a time or two before. I believe she was in the first Triangle Derby as part of, I think it was Lollipop, right? With Waka. I think she was in, if my
She
memory
was.
is correct.
She
Again,
was. It was her. It was her. Yuko Sakurai and Waka Tsukiyama were something lollipop. I think.
I think we just called them Team Lollipop because that
I
was
think we
fun.
did. Yeah.
But again, it was fun enough stuff. It was a more comedy than wrestling. It was kind of like your ha match. Fun enough stuff. 3.25 stars for me.
Yeah, FWC. Sorry, DLM. Because again, we don't know that their FWC did turn on Natsu Sumire. They were not happy with her performance in this match. So the heels, shall we say, DLM. Sayaka Kurora and Kohaku then against that team, Haruka Umasaki and Mizuki Kato. Oh, hiccups. Apologies. What was your opinion, Matt?
I mentioned we talked about their tag match with BMI 2000 on the last show, how it kind of wasn't the right casting for, to accentuate Haruka Yamasaki's her strengths. This match
This
was.
was. Yeah,
This was.
agreed.
Her and Kohaku, and I haven't seen Kohaku that much since last year's Goddess Tag League where she teamed with Mace Air. I believe their name of the team was Star Fox.
Star Fox. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I remember that because it was a Super Nintendo game. I think it was the game that came with the system. Anywho, this was more towards Umasaki, what she can do. You're highlighting her positives. Her and Kohaku in the beginning had some really great sequences that I'm like, I don't even know what to write down for that. Like there was just like this handstand rolling thing and the arm drags back and forth. Sayaka Kurora was really terrific here. Kato's another one. I think you get her in the ring with these great wrestlers, with better wrestlers like in the Stardom, and we've seen her in New Blood a time or two. She's going to consistently get better. But for me, this was just the Kohaku versus Umasaki match. That was the highlight for me in this match. Ultimately, though, Kohaku putting away Kato with the top rope frog splash. 3.5 stars. I like this one. More Umasaki and more Kohaku in my Stardom life, please.
BMI 2000 officially eliminating Reckless Fantasy from the tournament, giving them a send-off post-match as well. Reckless Fantasy, what does that even mean? Natsuko Tora says. Again, Matt, we've mentioned it quite a few times on this podcast. It's been more about the performances for Reckless Fantasy. I think Rian, again, has shown her worth during this tournament, really showing that development, which has been really, really important, that never say die attitude. And I thought had some really good exchanges with the likes of Natsuko Tora in this.
Rob, I'm going to give some hope to all of us Reckless Fantasy fans. So if Taro Khan and the booking committee are following the formula they did last year for the 5-star Grand Prix, where Tora was the champion going in and Tam was eating all the losses, So now, what happened? Tam wins the belt. So now Toru's a champion, and Waka and Rian are eating all the losses. Do we see Reckless Fantasy leave Ryogoku Kakakiken as the Goddess of Stardom champions?
No.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Just cut the legs out straight away. Cut the legs out straight. I actually thought you were going to say, are we going to see Rian at the red belt? I was like, bloody hell, how much coffee has he had today?
I'm still drinking over here, and then I have something else over here. I got a coffee cup and then on my water with my leftover pre-workout from earlier this morning. Anywho, this match was a very babyface versus heel match. Again, everybody wants to boo BMI 2000. Everybody wants to cheer Walk and Rian. So it's like, let him do it. So we have like just touring with Rian in the beginning. Rian makes a little bit of a comeback. We get heat on Rian, a hot tag to Waka. She comes in. We do a couple things, to build it up. Again, they're making the hot tag at the right time. 10 minutes, I thought was the perfect time to tell their story. I thought if it went 7 or 8, you would have had to cut out some of the heat, where the heat was the most important part of the match, because you're getting the proper heat onto Ruaka and Tor as heels, and then you're making the proper hot tag to the baby faces. So I really like that. Rian comes in with this beautiful top rope crossbody to Ruaka for a 2 count. And then Rian does that great backslide into the front roll that she does. That scored her a 2 count, almost getting the big upset over the tag champs. Ultimately, though, it is Ruaka with the big lariat and that straightjacket German suplex, putting away Stone Cold Rian. 3.5 stars. Again, it's like easy psychology, easy story to tell. Boo the heels, cheer the baby faces, and then you're like, oh, just so close when Rian was going to get that pin. Ruaka is able to. I hit my hand on the boom. I hit my hand on my desk. Ruaka puts away Rian with the German suplex and giving them, the champions, 2 more points and giving the exit to our beloved Reckless Fantasy buddy. Breaks my heart.
It's been interesting with BMI 2000 that Ruaka has picked up all 3 victories so far with that German suplex.
Good point out, buddy. See?
There's been quite a few teams where, so for example, Saria Miku Kanai is at all the pinfalls, but she's also picked up their only victory so far, or their only 2 victories so far. So they are clearly sort of focusing this tournament on certain people. Tora doesn't need to pick up victories. I also don't think she's going to be the one picking up the losses. But then again, I've predicted many things for this tournament, so who's to say I'm going to get anything right? Matt, you did mention matches that probably needed less time. I imagine that this was probably the match you were referring to. Rina Yamashita and Kikyo Furusawa against Yuki Miyazaki and Rina Amakura. Why did you think this needed less time?
They drawn out the story. The crowd wasn't invested. I wasn't invested. It just didn't seem like it was going anywhere. Rina was in it. I really like her. Kikyo's in it. I really, she's somebody upcoming. I just thought that this was just too long. And sometimes you see that. Sometimes it's like, oh, I want to see this match go longer. Sometimes you give it too much time, you kind of lose the crowd's interest, and the crowd interest faded away about 6 or 7 minutes into this match. Sometimes you just don't have the proper psychology or the proper storytelling, or you're just not cooking up what the crowd wants served. And basically this was as much. No disrespect to these 4 ladies. Again, obviously a massive fan of Rina and Kikyo. Yuka, I haven't seen that much, and Rina Amakura, I haven't seen that much, so I don't want to say anything about their talents. This match is really it didn't feel like a Stardom match, considering the fact of how great the last match was, where they were telling the simple story, how great the opener was, or how great some of these other matches were. Just didn't feel like that proper Stardom match. It just didn't flow for me. I still gave it 3.25 stars. I thought Rina did the best that she could, but this was one match that they could have shaved off 3 or 4 minutes and given it to the opener.
Moving on to your semi-main event then. They've done Sayarita dirty on this graphic massively, by the way, by emphasizing the height of mega skyscrapers compared to her. But it was Sayarita eating the pinfall, eating the submission. I do love the Shirazagi. And I do love it where Hanako is able to ragdoll someone around whilst having someone in it. And Sayarita played that part perfectly. With just 6 seconds left to the time limit, I was convinced Sayarita was going to stay the course and was going to stay in the hold, and then the bell would go. But referee called it, and Mega Skyscrapers moved to 8 points, the dominant team in Blue Goddess early on.
This match was great for all sorts of reasons. Again, they had to follow up a match where the crowd, let's just say the match was not Wingori versus Sorry Boy. Let's just say that. So the crowd was kind of at a little bit of a lull, and these four ladies absolutely brought it up. I mentioned B. Priestley throwing bombs with Katrina. It's like, okay, Megan Bayne. Okay,
I was
Hanako.
just going to say her and Megan Bayne, really, really good.
Again, we've been fantasy booking some Megan Bayne and Bozilla stuff. Give me Megan Bayne versus B. Priestley. They were fantastic. Again, two makeshift teams here that for some reason, Rob, they're just really making it work. There's really great stuff. We do have Megan Bayne overpowering a guillotine choke from Saida, which I really like that. Ida gets this guillotine choke on. She's trying to work it. It looks like Megan Bayne's going down. And then Megan Bayne just comes up, pops her hips, and gets the big pop. Like once you see Ida's legs go up, the crowd is now really invested in this match. And the crowd got to hear, and they pretty much kept them there for the rest of the match with that. I thought it was excellent. Just gives to show you just how smart of a wrestler Megan Bayne is. Then we get these great suplex exchanges with Hanako and Saida. Crowd thoroughly enjoyed that. We get some double teamwork onto B. Priestley. Saida comes in with a huge top rope tackle for the save. Thoroughly enjoy that. And then we do see great double teamwork from Saya and B onto Hanako. And then Megan Bayne, this is almost like a staple every AEW Dynamite. Megan Bayne comes in and just stops the party with that double German suplex. Really dropping B.
It's never less impressive though.
No, it's not. Considering the fact that, like, when you do those double moves, if it is a good possibility that both opponents can land on top of each other or in midair have a midair collision. But it's great how Megan Bayne knows where to pop the hips and where to throw her arms, and her opponents know to bump off towards the side, or else it'll be an absolute mess. So great job on all three women there. Hanako gets the Shirasagi onto Saida. Saida is able to fight out of it. Hanako gets the advantage back. She goes for the JP coaster. However, Saida skips out of that and then gets the Itabashi on Hanako. I kind of figured the Mega Skyscrapers are due for a loss. I totally bid on that as a finish. I thought that was going to be the finish. I thoroughly enjoyed that. And then Megan Bayne comes in with those leaping lariats, taking out B and Saida. Hanako goes back to the Shirasagi, forcing Saida to tap out. As you said, partner, with just 6 seconds left. This was fantastic. Maybe my top 5 favorite matches thus far of this tournament. 4.25 stars for me. This was all sorts of great. Again, great hard-hitting action, great stuff back and forth. The crowd was really invested in this, especially the last 6 or 7 minutes. And again, B. Priestley is just really showing out, really showing to everybody that anybody that has doubted her what a great performer she is. She's absolutely crushing it in this tournament. Again, so much credit to Megan Bayne. Not only having great matches, Rob, but probably doing it. She's got to be somewhat jet lagged back, and it's not like she.
I don't understand.
It's not like she's going from like Philly to like Chicago. It's like a 4-hour flight or something. These are like 12, 13-hour flights, not with the layover. And it's not like it's back and forth once or twice. She's on a plane probably right now. I think she's wrestling this weekend to do it again. This is wild, just absolutely wild. And you can see she's having the time of her life doing it. And again, all sorts of credit. I know Dave Meltzer made a report that nobody, Ric Flair's never done this. Terry Funk's never done this. The Jack Briscoe's never done this. Harley Race has never done this back and forth to the States and Japan. Those are some big names. The fact that Megan Bayne is really the only wrestler ever to do this breakneck style back and forth, more than Flair, more than Harley, more than Briscoe's, the Funks. That's something, man. You gotta tip your hat or your crown. Megan Bayne with the crown. See what I did there? To one Megan Bayne, absolutely crushing it on 2 different continents, pretty much every other day, buddy.
And then moving on to our main event, the Railway Tokyo Towers succumbing to a 3rd loss. Now they're 1-3 in the tournament, only 3 matches left, so only can get to a maximum of 8 points. Matt, where do you see the Tokyo Towers or the Railway Tokyo Towers fitting in terms of the Blue Goddess block? Only 3 teams go through. I think we can safely assume that the Mega Skyscrapers are going to go through with 8 points. We've sort of pigeonholed the fact that O2 line are coming through because we've both picked them. You've only got 1 spot there. You've got Anacon, who are currently on 6 points. They've still got to wrestle Mega Skyscrapers. You've got Saida and B. Priestley, who are also up there. You've got Konami and Rina. You can't count out. Someone's got to give. And unfortunately, we did say with Railway Tokyo Towers getting that shot at BMI 2000 last month or earlier last month against BMI 2000 in Corrigan Hall that they likely wouldn't be making it. So it looks like that might be where we see them.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of up in the air. We figured Megan Bayne and Hanako, they'll probably be in there, depending on how many more times Megan Bayne wants to take that flight. But it really
Mm,
seems like even if they drop the next few matches, there's a good possibility they'll be in there. The Shirin Saki Kashima stuff is really interesting because they're really making it work. And again, you want on your playoff show, you want as much star power in those playoffs as possible. And again, I believe the show on the 29th and the 30th, they're almost sold out, or they are sold out. So most of those tickets are sold out already, considering the fact we don't know the 6 teams that are going to be in the playoffs. But Rian and Konami, a good way for Konami to help sell more tickets for Ryogoku is putting her in the playoffs as the Wonder of Stardom champion. So that's one way to go. Buddy, this is so open. I don't know.
you said that was Starlight Kid, mate. She didn't make the playoffs in the 5-star.
That's true. So at least I'm consistently wrong. I don't know where it's going to go. I'm excited for it because I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing from really all the teams. Like everybody, even like Reckless Fantasy eating the L's, you're still having great matches. Again, Konami and Rina, having great matches. Again, this match was great. I'll tell you right now, I get 4.25 stars. I like
Good match,
the
yeah.
I like the match we talked about before. And again, as much as some of the matches they kind of didn't work for me because of the Stardom talent that wasn't in the match, they started the show with a great match and they ended with 2 fantastic matches. I thought this was great. You have the big brawl to start, and then Lady C and Ami Sourei eating the chairs, which is a heck of a visual to have 2 of your taller wrestlers just taking, like bowling, taking out 5 or 6 rows. And then we get this great sequence with Konami and Ami Sourei, and I'm like, okay, we have to go with a wonder match between now and on the way to Ryogoku. Again, it's a possibility maybe with Konami and Rina. You mentioned this last week, partner. Maybe Konami and Rina, they don't qualify for the playoffs or they don't qualify for the finals, and neither does Ami Sourei and Lady C. So maybe your semi-main event for that final show, because there's a pay-per-view, is Konami versus Ami Sourei
It would make sense.
because now that you built it up twice in this tournament, once in a multi-person tag match and once here, you've kind of built it up there. So I'm all for that. Their sequences were great where Konami is beating up Ami Sourei because Konami and Rina, they had to jump onto Ami and Lady C. And they get in the ring, and Konami's working on the arm, working on the arm. Ami's trying to get out. She's using the kicks to go back to the arm. And then when Ami fires up, she really, really brings it to Konami. Eventually, though, she tags out, which is smart because if you're getting beat up, once you make that comeback, you don't want to ruin the tag. You get the tag to Lady C. Lady C's bumping Konami and Rina. Eventually, we just see great teamwork with Rina and Konami. Rina hits that second rope diving knee bomb onto Lady C, which I thoroughly enjoy. I'm a big fan of that. We do see Rina getting the hydrangea onto Ami Sourei. Makes sense because Konami's already done the damage to the arm of Ami Sourei. So I like the teamwork on the one body part, something we don't see that often in professional wrestling. I thoroughly enjoy that. Ami hits a blue thunder bomb on Rina, which was great because Rina's the smallest person on this match, and she just went flying. Like I thought that was a
Sold it really well.
great visual. It was just like Ami almost lost her in midair. Like, I'll catch you on the way down. I thought that was great. We do see then Konami hits a head kick onto Ami. That opens up the door for Rina with a jackknife pin for a 2 count. Konami then gets the spray paint onto Ami. Sorry, they're really the only spray paint spot we've seen with Konami in this whole tour, but they did it when I believe Ruwaka blinded the referee. Rina then hits a top rope diving knee bomb onto Ami. And then we see this twice. We see the assisted Pink Devil, which again, we've seen quite a bit in the artist matches when they add Fuki and Death, where it's basically Rina has the opponent up for the Pink Devil, and then Konami comes off the top rope with the Bulldog, which I really enjoyed. She hits that on the Ami, but Ami kicks out at 2, and then Rina goes right back to just a single Pink Devil, putting away Ami Sourei. 4.25 stars. I thought this was great. They built up Rina really well towards the end of this match, but ultimately it was just the interactions with Konami and Ami Sourei that really makes me want to see a singles match between the two of them. May as well do it on that final night of the Goddess League. May as well do it for the Wonder Stardom Championship, Rob. I think all the pieces fit into place from the story that they've been telling between these two wrestlers over the past 2 weeks or so.
So where does that leave us in terms of the tag league itself? So following night 7, these are your standings. Red Goddess, Aqua Stella are currently at the top of the blocks. 3 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw with 7 points. Sioripoi and BMI 2000 then make up spots 2 and 3 with 6 points each. 3 wins, no losses, no draws. Dos Locos de Mexico are in 4th place with 5 points. Suri, Miku Kanai, and Hina and Rani Yagami are both on 4 points each with 2 wins and 3 losses. Bozilla and Akira Kuragane, 1 win, 2 losses on 2 points, and then propping up the block, already eliminated Reckless Fantasy, Wax Tsukiyama, and Rian with 0 and 5 on 0 points. Blue Goddess then is a little bit more open. So Mega Skyscrapers are currently at the top with 4 and 0, 8 points. You've then got Anacon, Sayarida and B Priestley, and Konami and Rina all sitting at 6 points. Anacon has 1 match over both of those teams, though. Saya Karura are on 4 points, 2 and 2. O2 Line and Raiwa Tokyo Towers both on 2 points, 1 win, 3 losses. And then Suzu Suzuki and Rini Yamashita are basically eliminated. They're 0 and 4. Basically, they have to win their last 3 remaining matches and hope for miracles elsewhere. 1 more loss, 1 draw, and they are out as well. I imagine over the next couple of shows, we are going to see bulk eliminations as the tournament nears its block closure. With that in mind, then, Stardom have got an absolute glut of shows next week with 6 shows over the next 8 days on the 23rd, the 24th, the 26th, the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th. So just in case you'd missed Stardom this week because they've had a week off, you've got 6 shows in 8 days.
Damn right.
Absolutely. So the chance, again, we're going to have to see when we can record. So it's going to be, we don't know when that's going to be. However, the Saturday and the Sunday, so the 29th and 30th, obviously you've got your quarterfinals and your semifinals on the 29th in Osaka, and then you've got the final in Act City Hamamatsu on the 30th as well. So just those first 3 shows, the 23rd, the 24th, and the 26th. In terms of the 23rd, that is in Fukushima Big Palette. We have got in terms of the tag league, just otherwise we'll be here for ages. Worth pointing out, Azumi back, Miya Wamasaki back, Emma Maishima is back as well. Tag league will see Anacon versus Raiwa Tokyo Towers, B Priestley and Sayarida versus Konami and Rina, Hina and Rani Yagami versus DLM, Sioripoi versus Reckless Fantasy, and BMI 2000 versus Bozilla and Akira Kuragane. We have then got the 24th show, which is in the Iwake City General Gymnasium in Fukushima. Again, just the tag league action. We have got Mega Skyscrapers versus O2 Line, Raiwa Tokyo Towers against Suzu Suzuki and Rini Yamashita. So Suzu Suzuki returns to action on that show. B Priestley and Saya Ida versus Saya Karura. Hina and Rani Yagami versus Bozilla and Akira Kuragane. And then the match that is currently slated to main event, BMI 2000 versus Sioripoi. 26th, Kanda Myojin Hall. Once more, just the tag league action. Mega Skyscrapers versus Suzu Suzuki and Rini Yamashita. Raiwa Tokyo Towers versus O2 Line. That is really important because you feel like the winner of that still has a chance of the playoffs. You've got Saya Karura versus Anacon. DLM versus Suri and Miku Kanai. That's going to be tasty. Sioripoi versus Bozilla and Akira. And then you've got BMI 2000 versus Aqua Stella as well. So those are your next 3 events coming up on the 23rd, the 24th, and the 26th. Just to remind you, that final night of block action on the 28th is in KBS Hall on the Friday. I might as well just quickly go through the matches on that card as well, just to complete that out there. So in terms of the tag league, the last matches of the block are going to be Suzu and Rini Yamashita against Konami and Rina, Anacon versus Mega Skyscrapers, Saya Karura versus O2 Line, Reckless Fantasy versus Bozilla and Akira Kuragani. Sioropoi versus Sari and Miku Kanai. I wonder what they could be doing on that show.
Having good having good wrestling, Rob. That's what
Having good wrestling. Quite possibly. DLM versus BMI 2000 is also on that show as well. So there you go. Matt Turner, we have managed to whiz through 3 shows and a load of news, but this show would not be complete, good sir, without one thing and one thing only. And that, my friends, is a good old visit to the WWE and Io and Kairi watch.
Obviously, big shout outs to our main man, Darren Chatton, as I've watched a lot of wrestling between Sariism, the Sendai Girls, all this I needed that. I needed every second I possibly can. And Darren came up huge as always because the Io and Kairi watched SmackDown and Raw. So we go to SmackDown as we were setting up for War Games, which is next weekend, by the way. It does look like we were going to get Io, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss versus Last Legend, Nia Jax. Yes, Nia Jax that placed higher in the PWI Women's Top 250 over Starlight Kid and Mayu Iwatani and the Kabuki Warriors. Charlotte Flair says, I have heat with Rhea Ripley, tells Alexa Bliss, I do not want to be on this team. I'm not going to team with her. I'm not going to be in War Games. So we have a backstage segment where Alexa Bliss is talking to Rhea and Io. Alexa's like, I'll talk to Charlotte. Don't worry, she'll be a part of this team. Out of nowhere, the Kabuki Warriors, Nia Jax, and Lash Legend beat up the trio that is Io, Rhea, and Alexa Bliss. Then we go to Monday Night Raw. Where basically Charlotte Flair she comes in for there's another big beatdown with the 4-on-3. Charlotte Flair does come in to make the save, and she does say that, hey, I will be a part of this team. But also part of heel team is Becky Lynch, and then part of babyface team is one AJ Lee. So it looks like that's probably the way that they're going. It's probably going to be 5-on-5. I know they might have been doing something with Lila Valkyria because she's feuding with Becky Lynch, but I'm not really sure there. It's not officially set, but more than likely, Rob, it's looking like Io, Rhea, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, and AJ versus Becky Lynch, Lash Legend, Nia Jax, Kairi, and Asuka. So another loaded War Games. My guess is they're not going to be doing the crazy stuff we saw in AEW. I just don't see Io doing a glass spot. I don't see somebody diving off a cage or being set on fire. But regardless, this still should be a really fun War Games coming up next week.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's anyone in that match who is volunteering themselves to get set on fire, like Sky Blue was in the Blood and Guts match. But, ladies and gentlemen, that does bring us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We will be back next week. We just don't know when, with it being Thanksgiving, and we will be reviewing the shows that we can when we can. So stick to the social medias, and we'll be able to tell you more. In the meantime, thank you so much. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We are literally everywhere. A review and a comment really helps us out as well. If you think we've earned it, helps us be exposed to even more people and spread the good word of Stardom out and about. Patreon.com/the Stardom Cast for all of your episodes early and ad-free for as little as $1 a month, as well as hundreds of hours of bonus content, all of your show reviews, show previews, and all of that good stuff as well. Patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. In terms of social media, you can find us at the Stardom Cast, unless it's Instagram, Threads, or Talk Joshi. No, Instagram, Threads, or Blue Sky, where we are Talk Joshi. You can find me on Twitter. It's at Real Rob Goodwin. Mr. Matthew of the Turner, sign us off, good sir.
Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and the Twitter is the easiest, fastest, and best way to get a hold of me. Don't forget to follow the new Twitter page at Talk Joshi 2025, where I give all my star ratings from the past week on every Friday and Saturday of all of the matches in Joshi and women's wrestling. Folks, if you're not on the social media, you might be saying, Matt Turner, how do I get a hold of you via the email? My good friend Rob Goodwin, he's going to help me tell you. He's going to help me help you how to get me on the email. The email address simply is the StardomCast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another fantastic edition of the Stardom Cast. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you. It's like I always say, just not my podcast. It's our podcast. Because we're all together and everybody's different. Everybody's special.